What's going on, man? Thanks for doing it, dude.
Of course, man.
You were fucking. You were guest number, I think 5 or 7, and now here I am at 70. This is episode 75. So
wow,
Ernie, fucking from the beginning, an OG. Ernie, why don't you introduce yourself real quick? Tell them about your political history.
Yeah, of course. For everyone that's obviously watching, I worked in this. I started my political career way back in the day as a young man at 20 years of age, I guess. Jesus. Working for the state Democratic Party of Georgia as an intern. I then went on to intern up in D.C. In Congress. I was there for about 6 months, 5 months. And then came back here, and then also went back to the state senate as a chief of staff to a state senator who was no longer actually in office. He lost, and then I also was secretary of the Latino caucus for the Democratic Party of Georgia for a little bit, for about a year or so. So that's the political life that I've led.
And you got an internship for the Obama administration, correct?
I did. I applied. I'm FBI approved, right? Had to develop my SF-87, which is a pain in the ass, but yeah, no, it was great. I mean, I got it. I unfortunately could take it because it wasn't paid.
Yeah.
Luckily, at the time, I was able to apply for the Congressional Hispanic Caucus internship, which paid for place to stay, flights there and back. So I was blessed in terms that I had something that I could fall on. But yes, it was one of the biggest regrets of my life not being able to take that internship because I would have met the man himself.
Yeah, that would have been dope as shit.
Would have been sick.
That would have been sick as shit, dude. Get a fucking selfie with Obama. That would have been fucking.
Yeah.
That would have been game over, man. It's who knows? Maybe it's good you didn't do it because that could have been the peak. Now it's like the best still may be in front of us. But I feel like if you had a selfie with Obama, they'd be like, whew.
But I will meet Barack Obama one day. I promise you that. And
I'm sure you will. You're a goddamn candid, beautiful man. It's yeah. How do you think that would have how do you think that would have changed your path, or do you think it wouldn't have?
Oh, I think it would have changed it tremendously. I probably would have stayed in D.C., honestly.
Yeah. You think so?
Because, working in the White House and then, and not that you don't make connections in Congress. I definitely did. I made a lot of very good connections, but it would have been different. I think I would have, because here's the thing about me, right? You got to remember this. I got into politics I really started caring when I was a senior in high school.
Yeah.
And it really was because of Obama, right? Because he just seemed such an honest, inspiring figure, a man who, by the way, you can't ignore the historic nature of his candidacy, right? I'm a minority.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, speaking of Bill,
right.
I mean, as a white middle upper class guy, he's the first. I mean, you know how conservative I am. I voted for him when I was 18. He was he had the JFK, he had the glow,
Right.
Motherfucker
So
could just speak. He could just
to see someone who doesn't look like you, and I'm not African American, but I'm still a minority, and I still, we still go through a lot of very similar things, and so to see that reflected in the White House after 200 plus years, 236 some odd years of just a bunch of white dudes, and that's fine. I love white dudes. White dudes are great. Most of my friends are white, right? But I mean,
it was inspiring.
Right, it's inspiring because there's millions. I mean, just in America alone, there's 50 million Hispanic people, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's another million, 30, 40 million. I think it's probably more. I think 60 million African Americans. So, right, I mean, that's millions, hundreds of millions of people, and so it's good to see that for once, out of 45 now presidents, at least one of them was different and represented a segment of the population that was never really represented at the highest levels of government.
Yeah.
Or at the highest level of government.
Yeah, man. It's.
So it probably would have changed my trajectory a lot. I probably would have ended up staying in DC and wouldn't be in business, which is what I do now.
Yeah, but shoulda, coulda, woulda. You could very well have taken that and us be doing a podcast and you'd be sitting here just rubbing your temples like, dude, I can't believe I have 3 kids. I don't know how this happened. Why did I come up here? I got seduced by the idea of a selfie. Who knows, man? Who knows? Yeah, so you can't look at it like that, dude. It's, hey, man, all I know is just thinking of, like, the butterfly effect. I mean, Jesus, dude. I just think of, like, everything that's happened from, like, 2009, you and me, drinking lukewarm vodka out of a bottle, fucking playing Mario Kart on like a 360p TV.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's
I still have that, by the way. I still have that console, by the way.
Jesus Christ,
still
that's
here.
Beautiful.
Although, for the first time in my entire history that I've had it, the picture's now black and white.
Oh.
Fucked up.
Oh.
Yeah. Which I hate.
Oh.
Still works.
Yeah,
but
still
it's black
works.
and white.
Yeah, man. I think of that, dude. I think of that, and I always think about like, what if I had taken my acceptance to medical school, and like, shoulda, coulda, woulda. It's like, oh, well, I'd probably be making $200,000 a year. But then I also think of like, shit, man. For me, it was less going to medical school, and it was more that was indicative of me just wanting to like be successful in the eyes of society, without So if I had gone and done that, I think it would have manifested in other ways too, of just wanting to fit in. I probably would have got married. I probably would have kids, and eventually I'd probably reach the where I am right now, 29, despite living above my parents' garage. I'm still like, I'm so happy I'm not in medical school. I'm so happy I'm not married. God, that would suck if I was $500,000 in debt and a physician with 3 kids going, oh no.
Tommy, you're telling me it's like law school, man. I was going to go to law school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My plan was to, graduate college, take the LSAT, go to law school, use that degree because, a lot of these politicians are attorneys right? And I'm so glad I didn't because you're absolutely right. Yeah. I would have been at least $100,000 in debt.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I would have spent 3 years of my prime where I could have been making money, which what I have done, putting myself in debt, studying, probably definitely living at home, obviously. I wouldn't have had a choice.
Yeah.
So 100%. And I'll tell you, I didn't do it, and I was making what an attorney would have made coming out of law school within 2 years.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I made more.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, in 2018, I made more than I would have made as an attorney for probably 15 years, right? So, yeah. So, and that's why I tell everyone now, and I'll tell you, go do sales.
Yeah. Shit, man. That's what my dad does.
I'm telling you, it's unlimited potential, right? You've got a base, which is always amazing, but you can, if you work your ass off, if you're intelligent, if you just put the work, you will sell. I tell anyone on this planet, I don't care what it is you are selling. If you call enough people, there's 315 million people in this country, okay? Someone out there will buy what you're selling. Yeah. I promise you. Okay? I mean, you just got to do it. It's just a numbers game. You got to call. Yeah. You got to reach out. You got to be personable.
It is.
That's not hard to do.
It's like Kellen, dude. I remember we used to, in Valdosta, everyone in PICAP used to be like, Tommy, you're going to make the most money. You're going to be a doctor. And I always used to say, like, no, I'm going to make a lot. But I was like, Kellen's going to make the most. They'd be like, Kellen? I'd be like, Kellen. They'd be like, dude, Kellen's got like a 1.5 GPA. I was like, Kellen can sell, Kellen can sell a ketchup popsicle to a woman in white gloves. And what the fuck is Kellen doing? Kellen's selling and making bank in LA. Yeah. So yeah, man, dude, my dad does sales. My dad came from bumblefuck to no longer bumblefuck. It's like Bill Burr. And he's like, let's say you're chasing your dream. He's like, you're living in your parents' house, or you just got broken up with, or you just lost your job. And he's like, and you're looking at all your friends, and you're in your late 20s, and they're married with kids, and you're like, oh my God, they're so successful, and I'm not. He's like, let me tell you something. All those guys laying in their big houses with their new cars and their wife and their kids, guess what? They're dreaming of that futon in their parents' house. They're dreaming of not being tied down, going, man, what if I just went for it? What if I just chased my dream? It'd be a couple of years of shit, but I could make it. He's like, so if you're on that futon in your parents' house, he's like, guess what? All your successful friends, he's like, they're beating off to that. So that's at least a lie. That's at least the lie I tell myself.
And it's not to demean anyone, right? I mean, look, different folks take different paths, and there's nothing wrong with marriage, right? Yeah. My mom had me when she was 21, right? Yeah. And of course, I want to get married one day, right? I mean, that's, and I want to fall in love, and that's just, part of life, and it's beautiful, and everyone's different. But no, you're absolutely right. I mean, a lot of people think that way. A lot of people who or really what it is social media, right? Has created such a misconception of people because you only see the good parts on social media. You see the top 10. You see the Sports Center top 10. Right. You don't see the hundreds of hours of games and playoff games. You see one home run from Little League. You see a one-handed end zone catch. You see a three-pointer from 85 feet. But you don't see the 50, 60-minute games of just nothing. 100%. 100.
Yeah, and I say all that half kiddingly. People, I know if I had gone to med school, I would be someone who would be looking at living in my parents' house and being like, that looks awesome. Most of my friends who are doctors and lawyers and have kids, and I'm sure they're listening to this going, what the fuck? No, I don't. Like, I'm balling out right now. I got the love of my life. I got a little whatever running around. I got a new Lexus. Fuck you, Tommy, you fucking prick. So that's probably the reality of it. But hey, that's the lie I tell myself. It helps me sleep better. So what is today, 8th? 9th?
Today is the 8th, yes. No, the 9th.
9th. April 9th, 2020. Aside from coronavirus quarantine, so Bernie suspended his campaign last night.
Yes,
Biden's got
finally.
it. It's like I said, and as anyone that listens to this knows, I'm more conservative than not. But I really like to avoid talking politics with my conservative friends because nothing gets done. It's just like it's like when you and your friends that all like the same sports team, you're not actually learning anything or facing difficult arguments. You're just jerking each other off. We're the best. Tom Brady. You know, it's. So I like to have my ideas confronted, and more importantly, again, I don't want to ask a conservative friend, what do you think of Biden? Because it's just like I don't ask a liberal friend, what do you think of Trump? I'm just going to get... So, as my friend that I respect and an intelligent individual and just a sexy man at that, Ernesto Anzejo, what's going on? What are we doing? What are we looking at? What are pros, cons? What
we're looking at is the Democratic Party is a smart party who understands and realizes... And, you know, and I say that generally, right? Yeah. Ultimately, the people who decide. And look, this is one thing that just, there's two things that have been bothering me tremendously over the last probably 3 or 2 months. Number one.
By the way, I'm putting the microphone a little closer to the screen so it picks your voice up. You have the floor. So I'm not disinterested. I'm leaning back and
great.
Ernie Cast.
So two things that have bothered me tremendously. Number one, all these people on social media in real life, right? And I haven't seen many folks in real life, unfortunately, too recently, but just over the last month or so, right? When folks say, "Oh, the election's rigged," "Oh, the DNC rigged this," okay, that bothers the shit out of me. Number one. Number two, all these people who are shitting on the greatest country on the planet, I don't understand it. You know, so we're going to touch on those two topics, but let's start with Joe and these idiots, because that's what I'm going to call them. I'm sorry, and I hate that, and I hate to insult people, but I've just seen it so much, guys. In the United States of America, elections work in one way: people like me go and vote. Okay, all right, and people like me went and voted early for their preferred candidate. Now, the reality of Bernie Sanders is as inspiring and as good of a man as he is, and I will say that, right? I'm not gonna say that he's crazy. I'm not, and I may have said that in the past. Let's be gracious in when we win, right? And even in defeat, right? Look, Bernie Sanders, I think we can all agree, is true to his convictions. He's been saying the same damn things for 30 years. Yeah. Okay. He looks the same too, right? he's like 80 for like 30 years, bro.
But really, no, he does. I'll hand him that,
right?
man.
He's incredibly consistent. And look, you can even give Trump some of that as well. Trump was very consistent when it comes to trade deals. When it comes to China, he's been saying the same shit for 30 years,
the
right?
Fucking 80s, yeah.
So when he was a Democrat or whether it doesn't matter, he's been saying the same shit for 30 years. So God bless him. I mean, I think a lot of people really understand that and really feel that he cares about them, and I believe that. I really do, right? I think that's why he wanted such radical change, because he thought the system was so skewed towards some and not others. And there's some merit to it, but it is what it is. But again, he really had about a third of the party, right? Very similar to Trump, right? About 20 to 30% support of the party, mostly young folks. And look, here's the reality, guys. He promised to bring out new voters. The main thing about him, and the main, I guess the main thing he talked about was how he could bring out all these folks that didn't come out. He could change American politics. We're bringing out all these young people who hadn't come out since Obama and 12 years and this turnout. Well, here's the reality, guys. We had elections. Okay, he just quit literally yesterday. Okay, we had Super Tuesday. We had almost half of the delegates allocated. And guess what? He didn't. Matter of fact, he performed worse than he did 4 years ago with Hillary Clinton.
I didn't know
that.
That's
not because I don't like the guy. That's just what the voters decided, okay? That's not the DNC. That's not Barack Obama. That's not Tom Perry. No. That's people like me, again, who went out to vote, okay? Just like Hillary, people said the same thing about Hillary against Bernie. Ladies and gentlemen, the full numbers aren't there yet, but Hillary Clinton had 16 million more votes than Bernie Sanders. I mean, I don't know what to tell you, but if that's rigged, I mean, I must be an idiot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So same with Joe, okay? People like me went out and voted for Joe Biden, okay? And so why? Because Joe is a middle of the road. He was a man who was already in office, who was literally this close to being president of the United States, who Barack Obama, who is an extremely popular figure in the Democratic Party, loves and trusts and knows. And so that leads a lot of people like me to vote for what we know and not a guy who is proposing radical change, who, in my opinion, would turn off millions of people to vote for Democrats. People already think Democrats are radical, and a lot of Democrats think Republicans are radical, right? It is what it is. It's just where we are in this country. But why add fuel to that fire? I mean, that makes absolutely no sense. So to me, it is absolutely absurd. Now, what is true is that, yes, some Democrats dropped out, right, to thinking that their supporters would then go on to support Joe, and obviously that was the case. Now, you could say that's rigging, but ladies and gentlemen, for the last 240 plus years in this country, we've had primaries, and that's what happens. When you can't win, you don't stay in the race. Yeah. That doesn't mean it's rigged.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean because Hillary Clinton lost the election? Is the election rigged? Of course not. That is absurd. She lost. That's just what happens. That's the way life works.
Yeah.
Okay? So you don't have to pitch a fit when your favorite candidate, person, whatever, loses. It's just... It is absurd. Guys, in third world countries, okay, votes have actually been rigged, okay? Yeah. People have died, okay? Yeah. Literally. Dictators close Congress. I mean, you guys have no idea how good you have it, okay? Yeah. Which brings me to my second point about all these people shitting on America. And I'll tell you, it's mostly on the left, right? People on my side of the political spectrum. And what a damn shame. Because, again, you live in the greatest country in the world, okay? If someone like me, as I posted on Facebook, at 9 years old, moves to this country, speaks not one word of English, okay? Lives in a basement for the first 2 months that he lives in this country, okay? Parents come here with... They almost graduated college, but they didn't, so normal high school education. They come here and they work their asses off cooking in a kitchen. And by cooking in a kitchen, they can provide to give my sister and I everything we ever needed. And then not only that, but they gave us a sense of, hey, look, you've got to do well. You've got to succeed. How many people here have all the opportunities in the world, and then they choose to bitch and complain? Jesus Christ, get off your ass and go do something. I mean, it's just... You know what I mean? And that's just personal responsibility. Now, I understand not everyone can do that, right? Not everyone can help themselves, right? Disabilities, you lived in a cycle of poverty for 3-4 decades. I get it. That's why I'm a Democrat, right?
Yeah.
That's why I think government should help those who cannot help themselves. Now, we can argue what those parameters are and who those folks can be or who are not, right? But that's why I'm a Democrat. But again, guys, you can't just let what's happening up there in DC or even in Atlanta or wherever it is that you live dictate what you do with your life. Because I'll tell you what, whether Trump is president, whether Hillary was president, whether Barack Obama was president, me personally, my life, I just keep going up and I keep succeeding, right? And so if I can do it, I'm not special. Yeah. I'm not smarter than anyone else. I'm just another dude, man. So if I can do it, you can do it too. Yeah. Especially if you were born here and you have all the advantages in the world. I didn't even speak English at 9 years old, man. So, come on, dude. If I can do it, we can all do it. So, let's stop this nonsense of shitting on the greatest country this world has ever seen. Guys, you are so lucky. You have no idea. And that is why I think immigrants are so successful, right? Because they know. They've lived in third world countries. And that's not to say that Peru is a shithole. It's not. It's a beautiful country full of beautiful people, full of a lot of opportunity. But it's not America. Yeah. It's just not. I mean, it's just not. It's just not. You know what I mean? I promise you, me at 29 years old, am probably doing better than like 90% of people in Peru. I mean, seriously, and it's a shame, right?
Yeah,
but it's the truth. Me
like,
at 29 years old has a BMW and his own 2-bedroom apartment he can pay for, and a cat and a dog, and I can travel, right? And so, and I can do it, and I make good money, and I just, matter of fact, I just got employed even during this, this virus, right? Equifax, let's go. Call me for your data needs. So, you know what I mean? I mean, so guys, we can do it. Anyone can do it. Quit shitting on your country and realize that personal responsibility is huge, right? And so those two things have been bothering me tremendously. But the whole rigging thing is seriously absurd, okay? Because this
that needs to die on both sides. It, on Trump forums and Trump subreddits, it's always, oh, rigged again. Bernie got rigged again, and it's more so like stoking fires for the sake of being, like,
and Tommy,
sore winners. But it's
Tommy, not just Donald Trump forums, Donald Trump himself.
Yeah. It can't.
Which is a shame.
It is. It's, hey man, I like him, but I'm not marching place for him. He's an idiot. But I digress. It's the whole idea of just, it's rigged. It's the most childish, it's no one say it until the election happened, because we can't say it's rigged if we win. We gotta hold. We lost. It was rigged. It was hold.
And
Tom Brady's cheating. Hold.
I'll give you another example. In Georgia. Democrats in Georgia, the last governor's race, right? For Stacey Abrams versus Governor Kemp. I voted for Stacey, right? I'm a Democrat. I wanted her to win. But I don't go around saying the election was rigged. And you know how many folks on the left think that? Because he was a Secretary of State while he ran for governor, right? Now, maybe he should have recused himself, obviously, right? That's the man who's actually overseeing the elections. But, come on, guys. I mean, Georgia is still a red state. It still leans right. Now, that's changing, but it's still there. And so it makes sense that the party who's been in control for 20 years continues to win. And maybe we should look at us. Okay, was Stacey the right candidate? Was she the right messenger, right? Was she the right person to appeal to all Georgians? Maybe she wasn't. She obviously wasn't. She lost the election.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, you know what I mean?
It's
so.
Like, the one thing that always burns me, and I believe you posted this, and it was in 2016, and it was not even of the population of the United States, so not including under 18 and not including felons. It was an infographic. It was from the government. It was I don't know where it was from, but it might have been from the Census Bureau. I don't know, but it was of the voting eligible age population. 27% voted. 27. So it doesn't even matter.
100 million people didn't even vote last election.
Yeah, so it's
100 million people. If those people were to vote, they would change American politics forever.
It gets to a point where it's like, it's not even like, oh, we need to switch up our candidate because we're not winning. It's like, no, like, what you have is working. Your car is broken. Don't go get a new car. There are some wires disconnected on the battery. Oh, this one works fine. 27%.
So I'm glad you said that.
Didn't vote.
I'm glad you said that. Look at Georgia. Georgia's a beautiful example, okay?
Yeah.
I don't remember the exact numbers. I'm not going to look them up right now, but I know Romney beat Obama in 2012 here in Georgia by, I think, around 200,000 votes, 250,000 votes. Trump, even less with Hillary. I think it was about 200, maybe 170, 180. Here's the reality, okay? Let's talk about groups who vote 70 to 90% Democratic just in Georgia, okay? 500,000 African Americans didn't even vote. In Georgia, if 80% of them, which is actually 90% of them, vote Democrat, go vote, Democrats win every election for the next 15 years.
Yeah.
That's just African Americans. Hispanics, another 120,000. Asians, another 90,000. So right there, you literally have your margin of victory by like an absurd amount. But you're right. Either people don't care, either people are just disillusioned with the party, so they don't identify, right, with the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. Or I don't know, man. They just don't care.
You know what it's like? I remember my dad would always say this when he'd come to like middle school basketball games. This is like free throws. He'd be like, you can't argue that the refs were biased if you lost by 5 points, but you guys missed 15 free throws. They were free. You just have to practice them in your driveway. Free.
Not only that, but add to that if the elections were seriously rigged, you'd expect to see a totality, right, of folks who voted to be less and less because you're rigging, and that's not true. More people than ever voted in 2018.
Yeah.
And that has to do, or 19, has to do with demographics, some has to do with population growth in terms of just the totality of folks voting, right? Not as a percentage, but, and that's, so it's absurd to claim that. I mean, the numbers just don't validate it. And it's like you said, it's stories that people tell themselves to feel good about the loss or about being a legitimate candidate. The problem with it is that the more and more we talk this way, the more that we say this is rigged or this is rigged. Well, two things really, right? It's a twofold problem. Number one, you're going to disengage people because people are going to say, well, it doesn't matter. If it's rigged, what am I going to go vote for? This is ridiculous. Number two, which is even sadder and even really scary, more than sad, is you're starting now to chip away at the foundation of democracy.
Yeah.
Right? If you believe in democracy, you believe that your vote always counts, and a lot of people don't feel that way, and they're they can have certainly a case to make. But ultimately, that elections in America are rigged. But if you are not rigged, if you start to think that way, that's bad.
Yeah.
Because what happens, and this was a problem with Trump, and a lot of people thought about this in 2016, and it may come to pass now in 2020 if he loses. But let's not take Trump for an example. What happens if next time Stacey Abrams runs for governor again, and she's probably going to, against Kemp, and she loses again? What if she refuses to concede the election?
Yeah. Because
she says this is illegitimate.
Yeah.
And you know what? I've got millions of people who will back me up on this.
Yeah.
What if Donald Trump does that, Tommy? What if Donald Trump loses in 2020 and says, "Oh, this is right"? And and why Trump scares me more in regards to this is because Trump already said after the election, with no basis in reality whatsoever, that 5 million people voted illegally in California. I mean, can you seriously, like, if that seriously happened, like, for real?
You got to nut up. You got to show it.
I mean, come on, man.
Extraordinary
Show me the evidence.
Extraordinary evidence.
But that would be a crisis, right? I mean, who wouldn't be obviously terrified of that? But he said it when he won. What's he going to say when he loses?
Yep. Yeah. It's
and that's very, very, very scary. And he may not lose, right?
Yeah.
It's very scary. It's very scary.
It's like that. It's like that poster that girl that was campaigning for Hillary. There's a famous didn't age well, but it's her with a poster, and it's like, I don't know, like October 2016, and it's like, "Dear Donald, it's not rigged. You're just losing."
Right.
And it's like, but like seriously, like, because the second you hit the nail on the head, the second we start chipping away at the authenticity of that, the second the whole thing means nothing. And not only that
happens in third world countries, man.
And not only that, it no longer matters who wins, because whoever doesn't win, nothing gets done. And like we could argue the last 4 years, it just turns into this huge quagmire of investigate. And then if Trump loses, all of a sudden it'd be, that was an authentic 2020 election. And now now Republicans are going to be like, well, let's investigate China backing some bullshit.
Or how about when he talked about the unemployment numbers being literally fake from the government right before he got elected? He gets elected, and then he has the audacity to have a press conference, laugh about it, and say, well, now I like him because I won. I mean, he literally said that, and you just go, dude, are you like...
Yeah.
But see, like, what concerns me is I think Trump doesn't do it out of malice. I think he does it because he's so thin-skinned. Yeah. And because he just has to have that approval.
He can't take. Yeah,
that's why he does it.
He can't.
What happens when we get someone in office who's smart about this, who uses this to mobilize people to hurt the other party, to hurt democracy? Because it's going to happen, Tommy. It's just a matter of time. I am telling you, man.
Someone who's like,
and it can be on the left. It can be on. It doesn't matter. It can be. It doesn't matter where the fuck you're coming from. So. Because, like I said, it's already, you hear rumblings of it in the Democratic Party with Stacey Abrams and, all these rigged elections. And so it's both sides who are doing it. And it's an absolute shame. It is absolutely pathetic to say that.
It is.
I mean,
it's like,
there have been multiple studies made. Voter fraud in the United States, Tommy, it's like 0.00001%. Matter of fact, the last time we had voter fraud was a man to try to vote. I think it was in 2018, 3 or 4 times for Republican candidates. A Republican guy who ended up going to jail. But the reality is, it barely happens.
Yeah.
It happens like, I mean,
2000 election. 2000 election
maybe
was
12
sketchy.
cases of millions of votes. Like, give me a break.
Yeah.
And now you have the president of the United States from the White House briefing room telling people that absentee voting and mail-in voting ballots are corrupt. I heard him. I couldn't believe it.
No, I read that. I read his tweet yesterday.
Well, he votes that way. I'm sorry, but like that shouldn't be.
Didn't
partisan,
the Supreme
man.
Court just have a mail-in ballot to decide there would be no mail-in ballots? They just had a mail-in ballot to decide that. I mean, devil's advocate, there's 7 of them, so okay, right? No, there's 9. I'm an idiot, but yeah, it's. But you're saying like voter fraud. It's like voter fraud. It's like the ref having bias. It's like the ref may have bias, and if it really comes down to it, that has to be looked into. But it doesn't matter if the ref has a bias towards Ernie. If Tommy lost by 2 points and he missed 18 free throws, it's like if I hit 16 of them and then somehow the ref manages to get 16 points to Ernie in the last minute through bullshit technicals, okay, well now it's like, even if it is 0.00, now it's like, now we need to look at that. But when 73% of the voting eligible population, 73%, doesn't vote, your argument means nothing. Your argument means nothing. And it's...
Not only that, man, but again, the notion that in the United States we have a problem with voter fraud is literally just... I mean, the data just doesn't... I mean, it's the most ridiculous... Like, there's nothing that indicates that. Like, nothing, man. Like, literally, there just isn't.
Yeah.
And so if you're going to make extraordinary claims, you got to have extraordinary proof.
Yeah. I mean...
Okay?
Yeah.
And so, again, when both parties do it, because they both do it.
Yeah, which is why it's so fucking dangerous.
Right? But it's a little different when the president of the United States says that.
Yeah.
Because, again, what he says and how he says it carries a lot of weight, and a lot of people will only listen to what he says and will take that as the truth.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter because, and then once they take what he says as the truth, doesn't matter whether CNN or New York Times or Washington Post all debunk. It doesn't matter because they're fake news.
Yeah, it's very easy to. That's fake news. It's, and it's and not only does the idea of rigging get dangerous because it chips away at the facade, but it's also you start to get misplaced violent intent. Like, I like Trump. Crucify me. If Trump loses, guess what? Biden's my president. And you know what? I hope he's the best fucking president ever. Because it's me and my buddy Tony, who's a firefighter during 9/11, talked about this the other day. We're like, the president's the pilot, and we're all on the 747 together. Now, you may not like the destination. We're going to LA, you'd rather us go to Seattle. We're going from east to west. Hey, I want you to go left, you're going more right, whatever. By all means, argue. That's what's beautiful is we can argue, we can vote, whatever. But when 4 of the engines are flaming, you don't go, hey, fuck this pilot, watch this, told you so, we're about to hit that granite mountainside at 600 miles an hour. You're all dead. So right. It's, if Biden wins, I'm not gonna, I hope he makes me eat my fucking words, and I hope he's the best ever, and whoever's after him, I hope they're the best ever. It's and
that's exactly how I felt about Trump, right?
And you always post that, and that's what I always like. You're like, hey, I don't like, but the one that always stuck out to me was the North Korea post. This was like 2018. You're like, everyone that's wishing that he fails, you're like, yo, nuclear weapons affect the planet. You're like, it's called global thermonuclear war ever. So you're
I said the same thing about
that was your
when he
post.
Elected.
Yeah,
I wrote a very nice post, and I said, look, I didn't want him to win.
Yeah,
I think he's not the right choice at all for America. I think, he lies a lot. I think he doesn't understand government. I think he's in it for himself.
He's a douche.
But he's the president, man. So what can I do about it? Nothing.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with him. You don't have to say, well, I hope he wins. It's not even like respect for him. And shit, I'll go so far as to say you don't even have to go with the whole respect the office. I get it. You don't want to. At the very least, respect your own self-interest. And yes, he may be the one that you do not like and the one that you hate. No matter what, you better fucking hope that's a time where you want to be proven wrong. If you're accusing your spouse of cheating, you want to be wrong. It's better to have your ego take a hit and realize you were wrong than what do you want to say? Ha! I knew you were fucking that guy. Okay, well now you know your marriage is ruined. It's exactly. So it's the same thing, dude. Like, it's if Biden wins, like, no, he's not my guy, but god damn it, I hope he's the best ever. It's just like, and it's but the thing that, you know, I look at someone like you, and I always look at how, you know, like, Pressler always comments on your shit, and I'm always like, dude, like, you make I try to be a middle of the road conservative. I'm like, god damn it, Pressler, you make us look bad. But for, you know, everyone like him, there's a far left leftist, and then there's you, who it's you could get away with whatever you want to say because you're an immigrant, because your parents came from there. But the fact is, you're still you're like, it's, you don't pull some like bullshit centrist where you're like, hey everyone, it's okay to like Trump. You're like, no, I fucking hate this guy. You're like, he's a fake tan douchebag. You didn't say that, but I'll say it. He is. But, you know, that thing that scares me is like, Biden, as much as everyone doesn't like him, like, he's not radical, and he was the vice president for 8 years, and he was fine. Like, I'm okay with that. You don't like Trump, but it's like, he was a loved celebrity before this. It's like, okay, like, I get it, dude. With Bernie, like, I can't help but shake the. It's one thing if his fan base doesn't, or supporter base doesn't like Trump. I get it, that's expected. But it's another thing when they're like, fuck it, I'm not even gonna vote for Biden. It's like, well, dude, you're not even, you know, hey, I don't get to be the first string quarterback.
And
so
I can't tell you how many
loses.
People on my Facebook timeline have said exactly that.
It's like, dude, you're fucking yourself. And they're saying there's gonna be there's gonna. What did that one guy say? Milwaukee will fall. We're going to burn it down. It's like, you make me not, and I'm not liberal. I'm like, you make me want to go out and campaign for Biden, right?
Right.
I'm like, Jesus Christ.
No, but look, I mean, but you're absolutely right. And like I said, I mean, Bernie was similar to Trump in to the extent that his fans are not even radical. They're just
they're there. They're hardcore. That's fine.
It's almost like I don't want to say a cult, but it's almost like a personality cult. You know what I mean?
Sportish.
I mean, like, Trump had a good point. I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue, Fifth Avenue, New York, and shoot someone on a pipe, and he's probably right. Honestly,
yeah, I guarantee you, a lot of my family members would be like, that just means he's 2A. Like,
exactly.
Exactly,
man. So people find a way to rationalize what they want to rationalize, right?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's your cognitive dissonance, right? Well, you know, like, I've got people who get on, you know, Pressler doesn't, a lot of other people do it, will say, oh, well, Joe's creepy and he's rapey and he's this and that. And look, I've seen all those pictures, and obviously, and I've seen, matter of fact, I remember in 2012 when he was on CNN, there was like they did, oh, look at Joe getting all handsy and doing this and that. But again, guys, if you're going to say that, I mean, make sure that your guys is clean. I mean, can you really claim the moral high ground when Donald Trump, who has literally been rumored to have been on the islands with Jeffrey Epstein?
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you he did anything, but
dude, if you were
that's
there,
known.
If you were there, okay? That's what.
You know what I mean? So if you really want to go there, I mean, we can go there.
Yeah.
But is that what we want to debase our politics to?
Yeah.
You see what I mean? We've become such a personality cult.
Yes.
It's a shame. It's like, and I feel like, I mean, Obama was to an extent that way, but I don't know. I called him out when I thought he was wrong. I thought he was wrong on Syria. I thought the implementation of Obamacare was a massive failure. I thought his North Korea policy wasn't good. He didn't really do much for 8 years. So I'll call him out when I have to call him out, right? But it seems like these people, and same with Bernie and with Trump, and it's obviously not everyone, but it seems like they always want to rationalize and always say, well, it's not us, it's you, right? You're the problem, and it's your fault, or, you know. And so I think this election, it's a very simple election, and I think it's gotten worse for Trump because of two things: the economy and this pandemic.
Yeah. Right?
The economy is in free fall. I mean, you have now 16 million Americans who have filed unemployment in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Equates to around 12% unemployment is what economists are saying.
Yeah.
That's bad. That's really bad.
That's insane.
And not only that, But a lot of these businesses that are closed and laid off folks probably won't reopen unless they've got massive government help.
Yeah.
And so how will Trump do? On the other side, what will the Democrats do to help Trump? And that's a shame that we even have to say that, but it's just the truth. It's an election year. It's a president that Democrats absolutely despise. They should put country over party, but it's just no one does it anymore, right? It's just it's the way politics runs. Yeah. So I think the response, the economic response, is going to be huge because, again, you think over the last 50, 60 years, there hasn't been one time where we were in a recession, maybe other than FDR and Obama. And Obama, we weren't in a recession anymore in 2012. It was just a slow economy, where the incumbent has won during a crisis or during a recession, at least an economic recession. So we'll see, right? Now, on the other hand, you can use that to an advantage to say, well, in the middle of a crisis, do you want to switch pilots?
President,
right? You don't want to do that, right? Yeah. Steady leadership. But again, if he's not steady, which I don't think he is in a multitude of ways, Biden can easily make that case. Hey, look at all that we've been going through for the last 4 years. Starting from when the day the president of the United States got inaugurated, Sean Spicer gets and goes in front of the American people and says, those pictures you put up are fake. Let me give you my picture. And he literally doctored a picture.
What was his quote? Alternative facts.
Or right, Kellyanne Conway. I mean, Jesus. Do you see what I mean? Ever since day one, it's been one thing after another, and the media is complicit to it. Obviously, the media is going to report on it. Some of it's nonsense, yes, but a lot of it isn't. A lot of it really isn't. And so a lot of people who are sick of this, in my opinion, and again, remember what we talked about last time, we're talking about 3 states, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. 3 states, which, by the way, have voted Democratic for, other than 2016 for the last 35 years, okay? And the totality of those 3 states, again, for everyone who doesn't know this, were 100,000 people. All Joe Biden needs to do
that was the difference,
is convince 100,000 people in 3 states to go from Trump to Joe Biden, and Joe Biden's president of the United States.
But the thing is you don't even need to convince that number of people. You just got to convince the people who already have their convictions to go fucking vote.
That too.
Like, you don't even fuck those 100,000 people. If you can mobilize 3 million, game over.
Which, by the way, is something that Joe Biden has got no credit for. So when we started this conversation, we said Bernie predicated his nomination on the fact that he could bring out voters that had not voted.
Yeah.
The voters for Joe Biden, or the people who voted for Joe Biden, have actually been more than Hillary Clinton so far. So Joe Biden is actually turning out voters, at least Democratic voters, right? It's a primary, so it's not general. But that speaks to something. What does that speak to? Democratic voters are energized. Democratic voters understand that in order to be Donald Trump, you need someone who people know, someone who people are comfortable with. Who better than the vice president to the most popular Democratic administration since FDR?
Who can speak like JFK? That's the thing.
Who better than literally Obama's one of his best friends who can get him out to come out and stump for him?
Yeah,
it's going to be a referendum, right, on Trump, but it's also going to be a choice between the Obama legacy and the Trump legacy he's building, right? Yeah. And so I don't know. I'm confident, but I'm not going to make predictions. Again, I was very wrong in 2016. I don't want to be wrong ever again.
No one
and that's
does.
what's going to happen again. That's a stupid thing to say.
That's where the podcast will bite you in the ass.
Right?
There's a podcast of me in January going, dude, I just talked to some guy saying coronavirus is coming to California. There's literally me saying, like, looking in the camera and being like, no, it's not. So, I can't take that down. I don't know, do I want to? But I was going to say, that's the thing, man, is like, even at the most core of that, the reality is Biden is, for, just speaking from conservatives and, largely conservative family and friend group, it will not have conservative friends, I'd say probably down the middle. Biden's a lot less, to lack of a better word, scary. It's almost like Hillary was less, because it's like, yeah, but it's still like, as much as you can hate her and whatever, it's like the reality is like it's almost like she's been in politics for so long. It's almost just like, okay, this will almost be like a, I don't like it, but I'll survive kind of thing. That's what Biden is. It's like, I want to see Trump win. I do, but I'm like, I do Biden's president. It's just like, yeah, okay, well, all right, I'll get behind that. I have to. It's
right.
I would still, if he won, I would say Bernie is my president. But that's a lot more like, oh, this is some radical shit. Biden's a lot less.
Look, I mean,
Biden's less scary, if you will. Let's just say what it is. He's a rich.
Look, Bernie.
I was gonna say, Biden's a lot less scary. Let's just say it like it is. It's because he's another old rich white guy. Honestly, say what it is. That's gonna be why he's a lot less scary to a ton of Republicans, because it's gonna be like, he's kind of he's not the 1%. It's not the crazy Jesus guy, right? Sorry to interrupt.
Right. No, it's true. I mean, look, Bernie had some really good ideas, right? I mean, but the problem with Bernie is Bernie, I think fundamentally to his core, doesn't believe in capitalism. Okay? Yeah, that's the problem with Bernie, right? Yeah. So in pursuit of that goal, in pursuit of changing the system to a more equitable, just society, right, you're going to hurt thousands of big businesses, small businesses, right? You're going to probably have policies that are going to hurt a lot of people, layoffs, whatever the case may be. And that's why, I voted for for Joe. That's why I voted for Hillary, obviously, in 2016 and Obama in 2012. I couldn't vote before I wasn't a citizen. Yeah. Because I fundamentally believe these people understood that capitalism works, that capitalism is the most efficient way to allocate resources. Now, all of that being said, it's not perfect, and that's why we're Democrats, right? Because we believe that the government should step in. So again, healthcare is a huge place where the marketplace has obviously failed millions of people. You're seeing it right now. I just told you those unemployment numbers. Yeah. Now, maybe not all those folks had insurance, but 85% of people on insurance have had through their employer. So those people just lost insurance. Right? And so what's the solution to the 21st century? The solution, for me, that's too radical would be a Medicare for all, ban private health care. I mean, that's absurd. It would be a massive disruption. If Obamacare, that only added about 15 million, 60 million people under the rules, was a disruptor, imagine scrapping the whole system, right? I mean, that would be, it would just be asinine. It would take probably a decade to really get, it would be absurd, right? So again, the Joe Biden plan is, let's just have a Medicare option or a public option for those to enroll in who want to enroll in it, for those who need it, right? Yeah. Right? Competition, right? Yeah. Now, it's obviously government, and it's obviously the government's always going to win because it's free as opposed to But I'll tell you what, someone like me would probably not opt to go for that option as opposed to being on my healthcare with Equifax, right? Because why would I? It works for me.
Versus 9-year-old you, though.
I don't mind paying premiums, right?
Versus 9-year-old Ernie, who just came here with his parents. That's absolutely, and I'm with you on that. I don't believe it in the Bernie sense, but like, we are our brother's keepers. In that sense, it's like, yes, here are these two immigrants, Mr. and Mrs. Aze, who we're going to work their dicks off. Not saying your mom was a dick. Working their balls and their ovaries off. Like, that's fine. Give them a public option. You can't have them going bankrupt because Ernie broke his leg.
Right.
It's
right. And not that, but because you live in America. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, if we're the best country, let's own that.
Let me tell you something. If all of Europe can do it, and this is what Bernie says all the time, right?
Yeah,
if Peru can do it, I'm not talking about an entire change. I'm talking about just give folks another option.
Yeah.
Give them the Medicare option. And if they want it, if it's superior, if it's better, then people will go there.
Yeah.
If they don't, then they won't. And you know what?
Those who have insurance
will be good to go.
Yeah.
And those who need it will go seek it. And that's the way it should work.
Yeah, like we have public schools. You can nut up and be like, hey, I can afford it. I'm sending my kids to St. Pius, a nice Catholic high school. Go for it. Every friend I have is wildly successful. But if you don't, it shouldn't be private Catholic high school or bust. It should be like, all right, you can go to public school.
Exactly.
A lot of my friends from Lakeside are doctors. They're fine.
And not just, and that's not just to say just for the sake of it. I mean, it's because in healthcare, I mean, it really has failed a lot of people. I think I gave you some of these statistics last time, but the number one cause of bankruptcy in this country, healthcare costs. Of those who declare bankruptcy, 65% of them had healthcare insurance already. So, I mean, that's not a fair bargain, right? Now, that is no longer the case anymore as much because of Obamacare. Now there's no more lifetime caps, right? There's a lot of things that consumers now have they didn't before. And see, that's why I'm a Democrat, because that's when the government can do some good. Now, the problem is, I think Democrats aren't good at telling people this and communicating the message, because now they have these protections that now no one wants taken away. Not even the Republicans.
Yeah.
But who fought to get those rights in place in the first, I mean, that was Barack Obama and Joe Biden, who happens to run for president of the United States in 2020. And that's why he's my guy.
Government money's bad. $1,200 coronavirus check. I just filled out that paperwork the other day. It's hey man, hey, I want that. It's the same. And I meant to talk. This is completely kind of out of turn now. It's not even relevant to what we're talking about. But I meant to say it earlier. People don't like to step out of line within their own party, dude. I'm the first. I always point this out to my. I'm like, hey, like red flag laws or getting rid of bump stocks. If Obama did that, we'd be in the streets. Because it's Trump, though. There's cognitive dissonance in action. I could see it in myself where I was
fucking %.
Yeah, that's where I saw it in myself. I remember when that happened. I was like,
hey,
I remember seeing it, and like when I first heard about it, I was like, well, it's right after the Las Vegas shooting. I was like, it's probably good. And I was just like, I stepped back, almost in like a meditative sense, and like observed my thought process. And I was like, if this was Obama, I'd be going, you fucking fascist, you communist. If this was Bernie, I'd be fucking grabbing the torches and pitchforks. But because it's Trump, it's like, well, it's probably best. And I remember stopping and I went, fuck no. And I was just like, no. Like, you got to draw the line.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing with the debt that we discussed last time, right? It's the exact. I mean, remember this, man.
Trump spending.
We were in the midst of the worst economic crisis ever, right? The Great Depression. And what did we have to do? What did Keynesian economics tells you to do? You spend, you give people money, 70% of GDP is consumer spending, so that you can get out of that lull, so you can create demand, get the, rev the engine, right? Yeah. And so, in order to do that, you've got to go into debt. No shit. Because the United States has been going into debt for 200 plus years, and we have no reserves. And so you got to go into debt. And you know what? We have that flexibility. We can do it. We still hold the reserve currency of the world. We run the world institutions. So we're fine, okay? So again, when Donald Trump comes into office and he blows up the deficit, I mean, you remember what happened? People were taking to the streets, the Tea Party. Yeah. Oh, our country's going bankrupt. And now it's higher than ever. Deficits are higher than they ever were in the Obama years. And I don't see anyone riding on the streets.
Yeah.
Where are all those Tea Party guys?
Yeah.
What happened to them?
Hey, I'm the number one. I'm guilty of it. It wasn't until like 2 weeks ago that I realized just how I was like, wait, I literally didn't even know it. That's how effective my cognitive dissonance was. It was literally telling me, it's like when you go into shock or you like blot out like a traumatic memory. My brain's literally like, no, not Trump. You like Trump. Trump wasn't doing. That was the bad man, not Trump. And it's like I'm looking at it now. I'm like, And the thing is like we don't like to do it because we don't like to confront our own beliefs. It's that I can argue with someone else all day long, but it's like you almost don't want to be like, no, I said I like him. Now I have to defend him.
Well, I'll tell you what. For me, this whole concept of personal responsibility, is not new, but I've been more vocal about it now. Because when you hear that, people think, well, you must be a conservative, right? Yeah. Because when people hear personal responsibility, well, you've got to be
bootstraps. You got a small loan of $1 million.
Exactly. And people, are you sure you're sure you're a Democrat? But guys, just because that goes against my whole of government political beliefs, doesn't mean that I can't personally have. I mean, that is absurd, right? Yeah. So as I've gotten older, because again, I've gotten older and I've realized in my own life that my hard work has taken me to where it's taken me. Where I've seen some of my friends who have nothing and do nothing and are sitting around, working at a bar, right? Yeah. And if that's what you want to do, that's fine. God bless you. Yeah. But that's not what I want to do. I want to work in the corporate world. Yeah. I want to be successful. I hope to run a company one day, right? Yeah. That's what I want to do, right? Because I think that will lead me to eventually back to politics, and I can say, that's my goal, right? Oh yeah. But that's what I mean, and so in my own life, right, I see that, right? In my own life, when even being an immigrant, sometimes you're biased towards immigrants because you're an immigrant, right? And you went through similar experiences. But like I was saying, I mean, when they said, oh, should we just, what did they, should we have what was the question? Oh, that you would make illegal immigration not a crime is absurd. I mean, it's just like, it is absurd. And me 10 years ago probably would have said, yeah, they're right, right? But now that I've grown up a little bit, it's like, you can't just fucking let everyone in, man. That's not how we don't have infinite resources.
Yeah. Hey, Ernie, if I come down to your place and I'm like, hey, Ernie, I'm living with my parents, dude, and I just hate it. I got to have a social life. Bro, I'm going to come in there. Hey, but you're going to cover me?
Right.
I don't know, Tom. I like you. But Ernie, don't you care about me? I do, Tom. It's just I care about me, too. You racist. Yeah, man. But you know, hold on. Oh shit! Where did I? Hold on.
So right before I got fired, I sure did.
Really?
So check this out. My old company, OTR Capital, hired him to give us a training lesson or a training session, and it was cool. Obviously, we had the companies there, the 4 companies there, and it was really cool. He gave his full speech. It was like an hour and a half long, and then. Which is cool, and they made the dude's full energy. The first thing he says is he cracks a joke about Coke. Like, it's like literally the very first thing he does. He grabs a Red Bull and he's like, it's not. He literally says Coke. He goes, it's not Coke, but this will do. We're just like,
hey, man,
all right, bro.
Just cut the bullshit right away. Let's just get to it.
Dude, straight up.
Yeah.
And he's short. He's like an inch taller than me. He's like 5'6", 5'7". He's not very tall at all. And but the dude just takes command.
I've watched his video.
He any room he's in.
Owns it.
Dude, we got to meet him. We got to have a lunch with him and sit down with him. Literally, I was like as close as like I'm right here, and he was like right there. I mean, we were like right next to each other, man. I got him to sign. They bought us a copy of the book. I got him to sign the book. It was awesome. The dude is a hell of a motivator.
Yeah.
He will get you going, man. He's like, come on. Yeah, he's like, pick up the fucking phone.
And fucking dial. Your wife doesn't like you? Pick up the fucking phone and dial. Because when I have problems, I roll up in the back of a limousine in a $2,000 suit with a $50,000 fucking watch.
Awesome.
Yeah, man.
And he charges a shit ton of money to do that. It's not cheap.
Yeah.
So, but it was super cool, man. It was awesome.
That is awesome.
Something told me I wanted to bring up, and I think it's important.
Ernie cast, whatever you want, right? Ernie cast.
I think I've been thinking a lot about this pandemic, and you see how a pandemic that's affecting 3%, right, around of folks, has basically shut down the economy, right? Has shut down the economy primarily to us. We did it on purpose. We had to. But you see what it's doing, right, to America. There's no toilet paper. Okay, I read an article yesterday. Why is that? It's not because people are hoarding toilet paper. It's because the supply chain just isn't there. People are staying home. Yeah. It's about a 40% increase, and there's two totally different supply chains for commercial toilet paper, so folks go to work, and for home toilet paper. Procter & Gamble apparently isn't even set up to deliver more, which is one of the biggest companies on the planet, right?
Jesus.
So toilet paper's out because of supply chains, not because people are hoarding shit.
Yeah.
May have been true at the beginning, but not anymore.
Now it's just there's nothing. Funeral
homes and graveyards now need more room just because of a slight increase, right? What else was I seeing that was disrupted? Funeral homes, toilet paper, a few more things. But my point is, you see, affecting a small amount of people, a virus has totally shifted and disrupted supply chains because we're not ready for that, okay? That's a virus. Now, let's put this into perspective. And this is something that will go away. What happens, and it's already happening, when the planet warms those extra 3 to 5 degrees, that hasn't happened for literally millions of years. We're seeing what happens when a virus that is a new virus comes. Look at how it affects our lives. And it's going to go away. It's just a matter of time. The climate changing isn't going to go away. And the planet warming isn't going to go away. How many disruptions is that going to bring upon not just America, but the world? I've been thinking about that a lot lately. And it's fucking scary.
That's when every press conference you see when that happens, they're all going to be from undisclosed locations and bunkers. Because there ain't no coming back from that. And it's...
At all.
Yeah, and it's almost like we saw how, it's even like I was saying, the coronavirus. It's like, oh, that's in China, and then it's, oh yeah, I know it's here, but it's almost like it's not until it's knocking on your doorstep, and it's literally like, no, you're not allowed to leave. Like, you guys can't go anywhere. It's almost like it doesn't matter if it's on the TV. It's not until it's like my own body. Now I can't get in my car and go somewhere. That I'm like,
most
okay,
perfect
it's
example
here.
To me was when people started taking it seriously. I didn't even take it that serious.
March Madness
was when sports got canceled.
March Madness, dude. It was like, okay, what?
And people were like, wait, what the fuck? Is this for real?
Yeah.
So that to me is terrifying.
Yeah.
And the only person in this country, or not the only person, but the only candidate running for president who even gives a shit is Joe Biden.
Really?
I mean, he just is. You know what I mean? And to me, that is fundamentally such a threat to humanity. That just based on that,
yeah.
I mean, I cannot in good conscience vote for Donald Trump.
Yeah.
I just can't.
That's fine. Yeah, it's. But yeah, I was gonna say, what I like talking to you though is like, because you and I always go into I mean, not only good friends, but also we're not coming in here to like sharpening the swords and I'm gonna prove him wrong. I know that I'm never gonna convince you otherwise, and I know you're never gonna convince me otherwise. Right. So, and we're not even trying to convince each other otherwise. And because we sort of come in sort of weapons down, it's when I talk to you, like it almost takes away all quote worry. Like if Biden won, it'd be like, because when I hear you talking to someone I know, and it's like, oh, I don't know how to explain it, but it's almost like, yeah, it's like, oh wait, this isn't the big bad boogeyman. It's almost like it's better to. It's like normally you want your guy to win and you're terrified of the other guy winning. Now it's more so like, I'd like to see my guy win, but if he doesn't, hey, we'll get him next time. It's that.
Well, look, and same thing with Trump, right? I mean, of course, I think he's wrong for this country in so many ways.
Yeah.
Right? But like I just told you, even if he does win, I'm going to be fine. I promise you that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's not going to affect me. Now, it may, as I've been saying and discussing, right, it may chip away at some of the foundations of democracy. We may not make any progress at all in climate change. And those are issues that will ultimately affect all of us.
Yeah.
Right? No matter who you are. And it will, the bill will come due at some point. But, I mean, ultimately it's a shame, but it's true, right? And this is probably why we don't handle our problems the way we should. Human beings are very, set up for very short reward. Hey, I'm only looking in the next few weeks.
Yeah.
I'm not looking exactly very small windows. I'm not looking at 20, 30, 40 years on the road. And especially government isn't doing that.
Yeah.
Because there's no incentive for them to, right? For them, it's, I've got to win the next election. Because if I don't, then I'm not even going to be able to do what I want to do.
Yeah. It's
and so, and how do we get out of that? I don't know. I think we talked about this last time about term limits. I think people in the House should have 4 years so that they do have those 2 years to actually legislate and not just have 1 year and then go back to campaigning the next whole year.
Fuck that. Just give them one fucking, and obviously this is my dumbass talking, just give them one 10-year block. Just give them 10 years and you can't run again. Fuck off. Just go in and stop campaigning. Just fuck off. You get 10 years. Go for it. You're a lame duck the second you get in.
Just go for it. Exactly what you mean. Yeah. But no, you're right, man. I mean, so just the dialogue, man. It's a shame because everyone just attacks each other, right? I mean, so like you're saying, I'll post something on Facebook, and I know I'm gonna have 5 to 10 people just tell me I'm an idiot, or I'm a liberal,
you communist, you ain't American, Trump 2020. Yeah, I'm like,
no matter how valid my points are,
doesn't matter what it is.
True, it doesn't matter. You know that when you say certain things or certain words, or you sound like a liberal, and look, and same thing it goes when I sound like a Republican or a conservative. I praise Trump, or when I talk about personal responsibility. I'll have people who will tell me, dude, you're an idiot on the left, and people on the right, oh, this is great. You sure you're not a Republican, man? You're coming along, man.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's this. Yeah, I've seen you post shit about soccer. And people feel like, I've seen like press, I think it was like It was something weird. I don't know why I remember.
I know exactly what you're talking about. It was when I was on a bachelor trip in Miami, and I posted because I was in an Uber, and this guy said that Lionel Messi was not the greatest player of all time. He's absurd. Not only did he not say that, but he also said that no one would remember who he is in 20 years. And I was like, dude, you're a fucking idiot. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
So, I do what I do best, and I go to Facebook, and I'm like, can you guys believe this? What an idiot. And President started talking about Trump, and I'm like, I literally was like, bro, fuck off.
I saw that, and I was literally like, I mean, it was like, Jesus Christ.
That's not the kind of person I am at all.
It was like, leave it at the door.
There comes a point where you're like, dude, I don't want to talk about politics right now.
But that's indicative. That's indicative of the system. So that's not just like a funny meme. That's like, but that's indicative if like you're on a bachelor trip and you're like, hey, this asshole said, whatever about Lionel Messi, and it comes to Trump. But I mean, is that not a microcosm of like, hey, I've got this bill I want to pass to an X, Y, and Z. All right, I heard you like Trump. Fuck that Nazi. And it's like, no, this is for like a YMCA in Atlanta. I was thinking that, as like a new state senator, Tommy Kerrigan. Nope, Trump, fucker, and everyone's what an idiot. And it's like, what? But that is a microcosm of how it works. It's.
That's why it makes you just not even want to worry about it.
Yeah, and it's. So.
But then I see some shit.
You got to get.
Or then I'll see Donald Trump
get
on TV and talk about how people who absentee vote or vote by mail, which, by the way, millions of people in the armed forces.
I was going to say the military.
Yeah. But they're cheaters, man. Yeah. That's what he said.
Yeah.
And then I can't. And I've got to defend the truth, right? I mean, because that's just not the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, that is literally.
It's not an opinion. It's not bias.
Right. I mean, there's just no other way to put it. It's just not true. It's like me saying I'm wearing a blue shirt and I'm not.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just nothing you can do to, to mitigate that, because it's just not reality.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. Some things are objectively true, or absolute, have absolute truths, and some things are not. Some things are opinions, and and so that informs, at least to me, why I am a Democrat. I told you, because of obviously healthcare, because of the climate, because I'm an immigrant, because of immigration, and the Republican Party seems to not want anyone who's an immigrant here. Yeah. And then to all that, you add the fact that some facts are just true, right? People aren't making all that much money, right? The average American has gotten a 16% raise over the last 30 years, while the top 1% of income has grown by 300%. But those are facts. Like, that's not me making it up.
Yeah, those are.
And so the question is, do we care about those facts, right? Do we do anything about those facts? Is that something that the government should be concerned about? And now you can dispute that one way or another, right? A lot of Republicans will say no. They work for what they got. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
And that's kind of, and that's okay. I mean, that's what you believe. I mean, it is what it is. But that's why I'm a Democrat, because no, I don't believe that that's the way that should be. And it's funny, as I make more money, as I grow in my career, those things aren't changing. I mean, those values that I have, because I remember just 10 years ago, Tommy, making, $20,000 a year, not having any money, right? And that's why, to me, I think Obama was such a different figure, and it's really the first time I cared. But I don't know if you knew this or not, but Barack Obama and Michelle Obama had student loan debt until around 2005.
Yeah.
And he was president in 2008.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to tell me this man doesn't understand the plight of students? You're going to tell me that a man whose mom spent her dying days battling insurance companies because they wouldn't pay her cancer treatments, that he's not going to understand?
Yeah.
But then you're gonna turn around and people are gonna tell me that Donald Trump, who's had a silver spoon his entire life, is gonna relate to me?
Yeah, you can't. Yeah,
I mean, you just can't. I mean, that's what I mean, man. And that shouldn't be partisan. I mean, that's just the reality, right? I mean, just like you could say that John Kerry would never relate to me, because John Kerry was a rich man his whole life, right? And most of those people are, right? Yeah. But someone like Barack Obama wasn't. Someone like Joe Biden weren't, right? And so that matters. That matters, and especially now when that's your choice, right, between these two people. Yeah, it's not an abstract of this or that, and so that's why I believe what I believe. But that's I just said that to sort of show you why, right? and what informs me, and
Yeah.
and they're very different. I mean, I think the 2012 election was a perfect encapsulation of both parties, right? You have Mitt Romney, who his entire life, again, had a silver spoon as well.
Yeah.
His dad was a governor. His dad was rich. And that doesn't mean he didn't work hard.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that he was given everything. That's not, because to say that, they said this on Shark Tank last night, that that because you're wealthy you can never earn something. I mean, that's absurd, right? Even if you were born into wealth, you can still do your own things and grow, and but it definitely helps, right? It definitely gives you a leg up, right? As opposed to Barack Obama, who, as I just told you, is a man who never had his father around, a man whose father was an immigrant, a man who, again, had to put himself in debt, a man who saw his mom go through all those tribulations, a man who was in the community. I mean, you cannot tell me that those are the same worlds. They're just not.
No,
in any way, shape, or form. And it's not to say that Romney was a bad guy, or to say that Trump's a bad guy, although I could argue that, but we won't get into that now. But or Bush, for example, right? I just say that because it really does. It really is two very different Americas, right? And that's not to say every Republican is rich or every Democrat is poor, because it's not the case. But it informs the way that a lot of folks vote and the way folks see this person or this person. And so, now, but now the problem is we're not debating policy in 2020. We're debating personalities.
Yep, and it's
that's the problem, man.
It's nothing gets. Yeah, it's it's like you always see, on, well, it's banned now, but on Reddit, the Donald, they'd post pictures of like Obama's new like mansion in like Martha's Vineyard, and be like, oh, like he's got this new like $15 million mansion, like isn't that ironic? Now it's just like, wouldn't you use this argument? Let's just say you're like this diehard Trumper, like wouldn't you use this as like an argument, like, yeah, see capitalism, instead of being like, oh, you hypocrite? Wouldn't you be like, hey, look, isn't it awesome that you can go from having debt in 2005 to being the president and then making, like, well, you got a big book deal. Yeah, shouldn't we be going, and that's why America's awesome, because you can do that.
Exactly.
Like, shouldn't we be going, you could get paid?
Isn't that the American dream?
But it's
that a man whose own parents 60 years ago couldn't even go.
Yeah, we should be applauding that. We should be going like,
literally illegal.
Yeah.
To being the most powerful man in the world.
Yeah.
If that's not the American, I mean, if that's not fucking beautiful, I don't know what is.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's, it's, so, what, because I have you here, let's say Biden wins, right? And sidestepping the whole possibility of fake news, it was rigged, Civil War Part 2, Electric Boogaloo. Let's just say that fucking against all odds, no one fucking flips out and we go on and just Biden wins the election. What happens? Because you hit it earlier. It's almost like Bernie was trying to bite off too much, and because of that, like, it's like, dude, you can't do that. It's like, it wasn't Mitt Romney, it was, I think it was a Texas guy. Who was the guy in 2012 that came out and was like, gays can't be in the military or something? He was the other. He looked like Romney. It was.
I don't know. I mean, there's Ted Cruz from Texas.
No. Fuck, I don't remember.
Who ran for?
He was like maybe he wasn't Texas, but dude, he was.
Governor
Christie? He was like your. He looked like he was like your generic like dad and mom jeans worth like a.
Paul Ryan?
No, I just had his name. It's
I don't know.
It was.
No one really talks about that anymore because it's like.
Yeah, but I think it was a governor.
Over, like,
yeah,
it's
I think
legal.
he was a governor.
Why are we?
Was it Perry? No. Who?
I don't know.
Fucking. Whatever. I don't even know where I was going with that. God damn it, I lost my track. So let's. Actually, I have no idea where I was going with that. Biden wins. Biden wins. What crystal ball? What? Oh yeah, sorry. So yeah, Bernie, he's going in. We got to tear down everything. That's how you get people going like, dude, you can't. Oh, so the point where I was going at is like, there was this Republican that was going, gays can't be in the military, and I was like, dude, you can't. You're gonna lose. Like, if you're going to lose to Obama, which Romney did, it's like, lose on policy. Don't lose on, like, oh, God damn it, you're giving him an underhand softball. Hey, Obama hit it out of the park. You didn't even got to touch me on politics because I'm just saying gays can't be in the military. Jesus Christ, man, bend over and let him paddle you, you know? It's the same with, like, Bernie. It's like, dude, you don't even have to address rational arguments like health care and unemployment when you can just say he's a communist, right?
Right.
Biden's a lot more... You can't do that with Biden. But that's why...
Well, they'll still try.
But they'll try. So what I'm saying is, because of that, well, for me, I'm looking at it, it's like, yeah, so I like that I can't just, oh, you're a fucking communist. It's like, no, you're not. To me, it's, so what are we looking at? Because he's not Bernie Sanders and he's going to tear it all down. Because he's, you know, it's a lot more like Trump than Bernie is. Like, what are we looking at if Biden wins? Just looking at your crystal ball.
I think the two biggest, you got to remember, we're also prisoners at the moment, right? So, the two biggest things are the economy.
So let's say, well, I was gonna say, let's say Biden wins, and let's say coronavirus let's say it goes away tomorrow.
Well, it won't. So we have to address it.
Okay, all right.
But it's true, right? We
yeah.
wouldn't have thought about this 8 months ago, but now it's the reality, right?
Touché.
It just is what it is.
Touché.
I think the two biggest things, which I think are strengths, to be totally frank with you, are the economy and then this pandemic. And why is the economy a strength? I'll tell you exactly why. The last time the U.S. was in a massive recession, who was running the country?
Keep talking.
Joe Biden, right? Not only that.
Oh, good point.
Not only that, but I don't know if you know that, and that's obviously an argument he's going to make, obviously, on the campaign trail.
Yeah.
But the other point you got to think about, and people don't know this, well, Obama actually appointed Joe Biden to run and oversee the American Recovery Act. So he actually was the main point. He actually got that going. He's the one who got the grants. He's the one who was talking to Republican governors across the country. He's the one who had I think it was like 0.03% fraud rate with the government money, with those $787 billion.
Yeah.
So he has the experience. He's done it literally within the last decade, right? Damn. So what better man to bring us out of another crisis?
Yeah.
And you got not only that, but you got to remember, obviously the president's important, but he's more of a figurehead, right? The people are running it. A lot of these folks who worked in the Obama White House will also work for a Biden White House. Yeah. He's going to reassemble those same teams, bring those same people back. So that to me is a huge strength. Yeah. Huge strength. Number one. Number two, the second thing you could do easily to counteract this pandemic, and hopefully it happens way before then. We hope to God, ramp up testing, right? Make sure that Americans as part of the economy are getting help when they need it, right? Number three, why don't we put back together that board that was allowed to expire literally just a few months ago?
Yeah.
Right? Now, people will say Trump ended it. He didn't technically end it. The authorization lapsed, and instead of Trump renewing it, he just didn't do anything about it, which you can still blame him for.
Yeah,
I do, right?
Absolutely.
But that's something we could do tomorrow. So those are the two biggest things, in my opinion. The economy is going to be the biggest thing, because without a good economy, without people going to work, nothing else is going to matter, right?
Nothing matters.
So you got to focus on that. And then I think the third thing is, I think healthcare. I think you have to remember, Democrats are very much animated by healthcare. And so, matter of fact, I'm pretty sure it was like 70 or 80% of the reason why people voted for Obama in 2008 was because of healthcare, actually, because of the healthcare plans. So it's a big deal to a lot of people, right? Especially during a pandemic. And so I think you can easily merge the economic reality with healthcare policy and say, look at what's going on where people don't have insurance, or people have to pay for these tests, which is obviously absurd that people would have to pay for any coronavirus test, but it's the reality. And they're saying they won't, but let's see. I don't believe it till I see it. So, I think those are the biggest things. I think the economy, I think healthcare, and I think obviously the pandemic, and this is going to be fresh on people's minds. Yeah. So not only the pandemic, but what can you do in the future to make sure this doesn't happen again?
Yeah.
How are we better prepared? Where can we invest? Do we need more doctors? So does that mean we need more H-1B visas to bring people from overseas to study and stay in America and make sure? And that's part of immigration as well. So this all ties. It's very much tied in together, right? I want to say immigration. I don't think there'll be political appetite for it, and I think it's a shame because now,
Well, coronavirus is doing Trump's job for him, or carrying out Trump's agenda for him.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
I said coronavirus is is carrying out Trump's agenda for him in terms of closing the borders. That was, yeah. I mean, it did it for him. Beautiful.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's true.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I mean, I think to me those are the immediate goals. Well, and I think, and I don't know if there will be. And this is a shame of the American government. It can't handle multiple things at once. But climate change should be right there at the very top. I mean, you know what I mean? It's. And so there's so many things to get to work on, right? How about restoring alliances around the world that Trump has absolutely decimated by shitting on Germany and the EU and France and the UK, our allies?
Yeah.
How about getting us back on a path where Iran is not on a path to a nuclear weapon? Because we were on that path, and now we're no longer there. They are now infusing, enriching uranium again. Okay, that wasn't happening just 3 years ago. So, and those are the things he's going to have most control over, foreign policy, right?
Yeah.
So that's huge, right? How about making sure that we don't pull away from our responsibilities around the world? How about we make sure that we actually get back into having good free trade again, which is a pillar of economic growth. You've got the Democrat now defending free trades. I mean, this is crazy, right? But it's the truth, man.
Yeah.
And so there's so many things that he needs to focus on, obviously domestically and abroad. Like I said, repairing those alliances, getting a deal back on the table with Iran, which, by the way, our European neighbors were not happy about when we pulled out because we did not have any consensus whatsoever when we did that. Hopefully trying to, doing away with these tariffs, with China, and because, again, maybe there needs to be some here and there, and I'm nowhere near a trade expert. So there's a lot smarter people that can talk, on this. But it's just some common sense off the very top that we can change that will make things better. Because you have to remember, man, and this is the thing about Trump that I think he doesn't understand, and I don't want to say his supporters don't, but maybe they just, I don't know. We live in an interconnected world. Businesses do business all over the world, man. And so for you to put up walls and tariffs and say, well, we're only going to do this in America, you're only hurting American companies. You're only hurting American consumers because the American consumer wants cheap stuff at Walmart. Okay, they don't want American made. It's going to cost them 5 times. It's just reality, man.
That's
right?
Just the hard truth. Yeah.
It's just the reality of life, and so you can't turn back that, right? You can't give people in the coal industry their jobs back because their jobs are just not coming back. Matter of fact, the coal industry is the smallest it's been ever, and that's because of technology. That's because of the way the world's moving. And so instead of promising folks things of the past that are not going to come back, right? Folks in Ohio and Michigan and Pennsylvania who are not going to get those manufacturing jobs back. How about we invest in technology in this country where we can put people to work making wind turbines, making solar panels, making things that they're used to making. Give them jobs of the future. Let's not try and go back to a system that didn't work, that made our planet dirty, that is not the way of the future. To me, that's common sense. That shouldn't be Democrat or Republican. Like how crazy is that? You know what I mean? Why don't we want those products built in America by American workers who desperately need those jobs?
Yeah, it's like,
a win-win for everyone.
It's like living at home. I don't look and not having a social life since 2016. I don't look back and try to bring back the Valdosta days of drinking vodka with you playing. I look at them fondly, but I'm like, they're not coming back. So what can I do? I can start a podcast. I can talk to Ernie. I can work towards getting out of here. So no, it's like, by all means, cherish the past and sure, try to get to that feeling again. But dude, hey, Tom Brady left the Patriots. He's not coming back. All right. So let's start,
right. But exactly. You can cherish the past, but you got to realize that, you've got to move forward. I mean, you can't continue to hold on to shit because it's, as a person, if you're holding on to memories, that's not good, right? You're going to drive yourself insane. As a country, as Trump is doing, if you're promising people things that you cannot deliver on, I'm going to bring your coal jobs back. Oh, manufacturing's back. No, it's not. Yeah, it's just not. I mean, just look at the numbers by your own government, Mr. Trump.
Yeah.
Your own government produces, your appointees produce, right? Like, it's just not the reality. So to me, it all ties together, right? I mean, to me, you could probably pass some sort of package where you are giving folks those jobs to help the economy, but you've got to put more regulations in place. We probably need cap and trade, right, to start bringing down carbon. And I'll tell you what, though, and we've done a tremendous job, right? The United States now is emitting less gases in the last 20, 30 years, but there's so much more to be done. And Obama had convinced all the automakers to really ramp up their efficiency, their gas efficiency to have less fuel and less emissions. And what did Trump just do literally a week ago? He just said, don't worry about it.
God damn it.
I mean, do you see what I mean, man? And so those are little things like that, like, instead of trying to bring back the 80s, we're not going to get them back. We're just not. But we know in 2020 that the future is clean energy. And what if we were to invent a technology, or what if technologies that we already have, that we make them here and we can sell them, we can capitalize on them, and we can give millions of people good paying jobs? That's not crazy. That's not.
I was going to say, so
democratic radicalism. That's just common fucking sense.
So I've had on four recent podcasts, 5 total guests, a nuclear power operator, 2 nuclear fusion physicists, and one who works at University of Rochester. The other one is at Texas A&M, and he's working on nuclear reactors for Mars rovers. Then I had on 2 guys, Justin Ball and Jason Parisi from Oxford. Both got their PhDs in nuclear fusion, and they worked at nuclear fusion. They wrote a book on Amazon, The Future of Fusion.
Awesome.
Yeah, they're coming on again. So I've had 5 of these guys on. That is something that it's on the right. You can look at all these, you got to be you look at someone saying, oh, you got to be efficient, global warming, blah, blah, blah. And you say, yeah, but China and India aren't doing it, so it's just hurting us economically. And, I look at it as like, so let's put it in terms of economics then. So instead of going, it's hurting us, how about look at, it's like that cartoon. It's like, so let's say global warming is false. It's not. I'm not one of those people. But let's say it's false. It's like, so you're telling me we got energy independent for all this, for nothing? You're telling me we brought jobs back to the U.S. and brought
what a shame, right?
Fuck. Like, but seriously, something like nuclear fusion, or not nuclear fusion, still science fiction. Nuclear fission, though, nuclear power plants, dude, 0 carbon footprint. To get a gigawatt of power. A 1 gigawatt power, it could be megawatt. I think it's for 1 gigawatt power coal-fired power plant. You need 80 train cars of coal per day, 365 days a year. For a nuclear power plant, you need half of a single train car of uranium once per year. For the same power input. And guess what? In the latter, has zero carbon footprint.
Yep.
What the fuck are we doing about nuclear? Because that's something that no one is bringing. Like, that is. Yeah.
I 1,000,000% agree with you, dude. So, I think we should be building nuclear plants all over the fucking country.
Dude, we should be left and right.
1,000,000% agree with you.
Dude, I am pure socialist on that. I'm like, government, I'm like, fucking give the money. I'm like, fund it. If we're going in debt, might as well do it for this. Because that is energy independence, and it's also, so don't even look at it as like, oh, okay, well, China and India aren't being, fuck for all my conservative friends out there, just don't even look at it in the emission standpoint. Don't even just look at it as like economically.
As a business opportunity.
Fuck the Middle East. Fuck China.
That invents or finally gets, I don't know if it's fusion or fission.
Fission's the one we've had since the 40s. Fusion's the future. Right? Yeah. Fusion is.
A country that gets that can then take that technology, patent it, sell it all over the fucking globe.
Well, right now it's the ITER, ITER, and it's a global. It's a global effort to get fusion. Fusion still, it's black magic. It's the end game. But fission, fission's here, and fission exists now. I mean, Eisenhower used to say, "Power too cheap to meter." Dude, the fact that is not being pushed by any candidate, to me, is like, because they've, what are some big energy companies? Shell, ExxonMobil,
Chevron.
Yeah. You've noticed there's no nuclear. No one, you can't off the top of your head. Fast food, McDonald's. Cars, Ford. What? To me, that is, so it's not even this like, don't look at it as the whole like we got to clean up the environment, because that's how you get a lot of conservatives to just stop listening.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I gotta word it in this way. Why isn't there an ExxonMobil? Well, how come there isn't someone just getting billions in revenue a year? Get that sweet profit, dude. Get your shareholders. Go trade on the fucking on Dow and Nasdaq. It doesn't have to be. It's like the whole like pot legalization. Like pot legalization, a lot of people like they pair it with like a communist revolution of like, it's like, no, dude, you can still have your Budweisers and Coors. You can still make bank. You can still have white collar jobs. You can still have these executive fucks making tens of millions. Like, we can still play the game. So it's like with nuclear, like, we can still play the game. Like, go take those Jordan Belfort characters and sick them. Be like, go get it. Why the fuck isn't that happening? Because
matter of fact, in Colorado, crime is down after weed was legalized.
I know.
And people are actually getting money back.
Oh, don't even. That just upsets me, dude. The first president. So I talked to the nuclear fission power plant operators, and they said, well, it's because after 25 years, the amount of money versus money going in, so the profit of not just percentage but just net of a nuclear power plant, they're like, it blows anything out of the water. The problem is it takes so much to get it going, and it takes about 25 years for it to break even.
And it needs the government.
Exactly. So that's what I said is like, sure, you could tax the fuck out of coal and gas, but that never works. We always find loopholes.
It works.
But I'm saying don't tax it to deter them. Rather, give them a reason to go nuclear. Say, here is a government stipend.
But cap and trade works. But look, the reality is this: Chevron isn't going to go nuclear. They're not.
Unless you make an incentive. Say, hey, pay us back when it starts becoming profitable. Don't pay us back until it's profitable.
That's a good point. But then you ask the question: does a Chevron, does a Shell, does a BP, do they need more government assistance? Do they really?
Well, you have to weigh. But now you have to weigh evils.
So right. Now, so why not just have the government do it?
Can we get them on nuclear? If that means, they're getting government assistance, but are we now avoiding the cliff of climate change?
Why not just have the government do it?
Well, because you're never going to get the conservatives and Republicans on board. If you're saying
you don't need them, you just need a majority.
Yeah.
All you need is a Democratic majority.
Sure, but if you get the business tycoons on your side, then you have an unstoppable force.
Well, but the business tycoons are smart, you'd think, and they would realize that this is something to invest in. Look,
yeah.
In the Recovery Act, $90 billion of those 787 actually went to the Department of Energy.
Really?
For clean energy, to research, to fund clean energy. It was the single biggest investment in American history when it comes to green energy. Now, it's been 12 years. I don't know. I'm not a scientist.
Yeah.
I don't know how long that takes. It may take decades. But the reality is we have put those investments in place. We have funded the Department of Energy at levels that were never seen before. I only hope that in 2020, maybe those funds have run out by now, but if they haven't, and they've been authorized for decades, I don't know the actual details. Obviously, I've never read the actual text. But I only hope that those programs have not been defunded. And I can only hope that the current government, has at least honored those commitments. Now, that's if they still have commitments to honor, right? I'm not really sure. But so we made some progress for sure. $90 billion is not an insignificant amount of money. And hopefully that will lead to something down the line somewhere. I don't know, but
so
a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people have no idea.
I didn't know that. But
it was the single biggest investment in clean energy in American history. Thank you, Barack Obama, and my boy Joe Biden, who's not running for president.
Ernie 2020. But see, that's so now just being the devil's advocate. But now you see what has come of that, and it's like nuclear fission. Like, we figured this shit. We've had nuclear power subs in the 1950s under the Eisenhower administration. Like, we have that figured out. So when you say why not have the government do it, someone like me points to because it's $90 billion and where are all the fission plants, right?
Oh, but it wasn't just for nuclear.
I know, but that's what I'm saying.
The $90 billion was for
renewable. Well, that's exactly the point I'm getting at, though. It's like we don't need to look at all this new shit when we have fission. Fission is the free throws. Fission is the 73% of people that haven't voted. We have this thing that we're not touching.
But right now, we got to try it all.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I'm with you.
The disease is so bad that if we don't try every cure until we hit something, we're fucked.
So that's,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So right now we got to try it all. Now, I don't know how much of that went to nuclear. That's a great question. I wish I knew. Maybe none of it did.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think probably not much of it did, because the whole point of it was for new technologies and new research.
Yeah, it wasn't refinement of existing.
That being said, we also can't get impatient. We're not scientists, and we're trying to solve the biggest threat to humanity really, because here's the reality, right? People say climate change, people say the world's dying. The reality is the world's been here for 4 billion years, okay?
The world's
the
not dying.
Continue to be here. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And not just we, it's our society.
Yeah.
Our society, our way of living has been predicated upon the last
infinite
2,000 or 3,000 years upon this climate that has really been very constant throughout.
Shadow climate.
Right? No asteroids, really. Hardly any.
Yeah.
Right? The more that we've developed, there's less war there is, less deaths there are. Right? Our society is fully dependent, obviously, now on technology and electricity. So, right, it's really not about the planet.
Yeah, no.
The planet's going to be just fine.
Planet's fine.
It's about
Planet ain't going anywhere.
Society and humanity, and whether or not a human being, and not just human beings, but the millions of billions of species on this planet will be able to sustain a 3-degree to 5-degree increase. I mean, all you got to do is do it in your apartment, right? Turn the temperature down 5 degrees, see what happens. You're going to be fucking freezing.
I'm a bitch. Yeah, I'm a bitch.
Yeah, exactly. Imagine the planet.
Yeah. So
the biosphere that we live in.
Yeah. So
I mean,
so that's what I'm.
It's asinine to think that's not going to affect us.
So
it's asinine.
So it's that's what So when I was saying have private industry going for nuclear, that's not the reason why I wasn't for government. It's not some small. It's not some Republican standpoint so much as I'm looking at it as someone that does believe that climate change is the cliff we're going over. So if it is this impending thing, we saw what coronavirus did, climate change will be that times a million.
Yeah.
So I look at it as we need to make it happen. And do all those big oil companies need government assistance? No. But the point is just like we argued earlier about how we're now arguing about personalities and not policy, we can sit here and go, those billionaires don't need any more government handouts, but we have to look at the core. What will get us to more nuclear with less emissions faster? The answer is us using more nuclear and less emissions faster. I don't care how we get to that point. If it's pure government, all for it. If it's ExxonMobil, all for it. What I'm looking at is that is the point we have to get to. I don't give a fuck how it gets done. It just needs to get done. Why can't, right now we're seeing private industry step up and produce ventilators and respirators. If we could provide an initiative to get to nuclear, if we have 1 million Department of Energy run government plants, fuck yeah, I'll eat the slice of humble pie and say I was wrong. If we have 1 million run by Chevron, yeah, hey, guess what? There's still going to be a bunch of fake tan, white collar billionaires. Sure, but the biggest evil is climate change. And right now, fusion is great, but we know fission. We had fission figured out ever since we vaporized 300 Japanese. Like, we know how to do it. We need to get to that. And yeah, I don't know how it's done. I don't know. I think if we can dangle the carrot,
don't let perfect be the enemy of progress.
Exactly.
Right?
I don't care how it gets done. It's just.
That's a great point. If climate change is this bad, threat, does it really fucking matter if you give the billionaires some money? Because if you don't,
the planet doesn't care how the planet doesn't care how fission gets there. No, the planet doesn't care. The planet knows no difference. It doesn't care how carbon emissions goes down. It doesn't care whether or not it was public or whether or not Joe billionaire got a handout. The planet doesn't give a fuck. If the temperature keeps going up and the part per million keeps going up, shit's done.
I think we're at 500 parts per million.
So
now.
we're on the same page. We need to get to nuclear.
I follow this guy who's
don't depress me.
Climate water scientist, right? He works for the U.S. National Academy of Science. This was just like 2 days ago. Give me 2 seconds, I'll tell you exactly what it was. Yep, April 2nd. In other news today, the world's carbon dioxide level has passed 415 parts per million, higher than any time in human existence and higher than any time in the last 2 to 5 million years. For anyone to think that that's not going to affect or have any sort of effect on human society, on the planet in terms of the cycles, right? On the oceans.
Yeah. Ocean acidity, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You are a buffoon, and you, sir, are an idiot.
You're an objective moron.
It's just like there's no other way to put it. And this is another thing, Tommy, it's great to bring up. I don't know what has happened in this country, but I'll tell you, from when I was a kid to now, when I'm 29 years old, it seems like there is now a conspiracy for everything, right? Right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even this virus, man, there is people on my Facebook timeline saying that the 5G towers...
Oh, my God. Oh,
I couldn't believe it, dude. Because I'm like, people don't really believe it. And then I started actually seeing, and I was like, I can't...
Yeah, man, you know what? When I see that, I'm like, maybe we deserve extinction.
Maybe we do deserve extinction.
Maybe
honestly.
Darwin is taking over. Hey, we didn't get our IQ high enough. We'll give it another try in a billion years.
I mean, how is it that every problem requires a conspiracy? How
it's
about
sexy
the fact
and it's easy?
that we live on a rock in the middle of nothing, spinning around a sun? And let me tell you something. This planet doesn't give a fuck if you live or if you die.
We are a bacteria in its ass crack.
Matter of fact, we had to remove ourselves from nature to become who we are today.
Yeah.
To multiply the way we've multiplied.
Yeah.
Right? We've literally had to say, well, fuck that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hang out next to a tiger all day.
I'm
fuck
not
that.
sitting there. I want air conditioning and fake lights. Fuck the sun.
Right.
Fuck the rotation of the planet. I want sun now.
Right.
Okay. So
I needed to throw in because I got to finish my training. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
If I don't have a sun, I need it. So.
Yeah.
How are you going to tell me that ultimately this is not going to affect you? I mean, it is just the most ridiculous notion. And unfortunately, Tommy, and this is just a fact, man. It's sad. But we have a political party in this country, the Republican Party, that doesn't care.
No.
They just don't.
Fucking morons. So
it's just the truth, man.
So that's the point I wanted to bring in agreement with you. So how do you get them on your side? Just give me a second. We clearly can't get them on the whole. It is happening and it's going to kill us all. So so we can sit here and say they're stupid all we want, and then when the planet dies, and we can go, "Ha, told you so," and now we're all dead. Or you can speak their language and go, "Hey, here's an untapped $1 trillion market," and that's what I meant earlier when I said, make it a private thing. Don't go the whole, because if you bring up climate, that's a conspiracy, whatever. I don't give a fuck. Not in my lifetime. I don't care. They don't speak that language, so speak the language they do speak.
So
make it nuclear, make it private. What I'm saying is that's how they are. This rabid mob of go-getter capitalists, like them or hate them. That's what they are. Instead of saying these idiots don't believe in climate change, what you do is you say, here is an untapped $1 trillion market.
Well, look,
you put a harness on it and go,
but Tommy,
let's get there.
Let's be very honest. Let me tell you something, man. The CEO of Chevron
Tell
and
me,
BP,
Ernie.
they know it's real, okay? They're not stupid.
Oh, yeah.
They're not fucking stupid, okay?
Yeah, you don't get to that
It's just because of business interests. What I'm talking about is the regular voter. What I'm talking about is, half the people in Peachtree City who are wealthy and think it's, they remember when scientists used to tell them that the world was going to be cold, right? Yeah. And they'll put that on, look at time. There was a time where people thought, So it's not even about those guys, right? But what you're saying is absolutely correct. I'm talking about trying to convince the average voter, not the CEO. They know, man. Yeah. They're not fucking stupid, okay? Exactly. They understand, okay? They see it, okay? When there are businesses that they have to put sand and they see that the cities are flooding, they're not dumb, okay? And I don't mean to say people who are regular voters are dumb, right? But maybe they're more susceptible to cognitive dissonance. Let's put it that way, and not having to worry about what they don't want to worry about. But what you're saying is absolutely right. Speak their language. So there was actually, I don't know if you've looked into this, but you're absolutely right. In order to convince conservatives to get on board with any sort of climate change agenda is to talk business to them. You're 1,000,000% correct. Now, I don't know that that's going to happen. The reality is this, that even if you talk business to them, I think, because of political expedience these days, to win an election, you know what I mean? To have power, you have to almost get down to that lowest denominator, right? So you got to get to the level of those folks who say it's a conspiracy. Now, all that being said, we go back to the same thing. That's why leadership matters. When the president of the United States gets on Twitter and says that, it's a Chinese hoax.
Oh, God, yeah, I know.
You know what I mean?
I know. Yeah.
How does that help anything? And so that can set us back years, because now it's going to take not you only talking to them about economics to convince them, but now you have to convince them that their dear leader was dearly wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
And who's going to want to admit that?
Let's go on that same path. Utilize cognitive dissonance. If Trump came out tomorrow and said he thinks it's real and we could bring back American jobs with fission power plants, those same people would then be on board with that. So it's
exactly.
Again, it's like
he won't. I mean, that's the problem.
If you can speak the language, though, if you can show him, just hear me out for 1 second.
That's why you have to elect people who, in the first place, are aware that this is a problem. I mean, listen, it's very similar to, and I'm sorry to have cut you off, but it's very similar to this pandemic response, right?
Yeah.
To where you have the president of the United
news.
States during a national crisis, right?
Yeah.
He is the national leader. Like, if this is not the time for the federal government to be involved, then there is no other time. I mean, we might as well just disband it, right? So when you have reporters saying, oh, there's not enough ventilators, there's not enough beds, well, why are you asking me? The governors should be doing it themselves. Yeah. The governors should be
That's some bullshit.
No, buddy, they shouldn't. Like, this is the time.
You're in the big chair.
You're the guy.
Yeah.
You're the leader.
Nut up.
Why should California have to compete with New York, with the federal government, with Connecticut, with Georgia, to get supplies that, look, I understand we were not prepared for. Maybe no one would have been prepared for it. Maybe whether it was Obama, Hillary, maybe so. I get it. But now you are in charge. Quit blaming Obama. Quit blaming the governors. Quit blaming the media. Sir, you're the president.
Yeah.
Sir, you get up and you fix it.
Yeah.
Because that's what you said you'd do, remember?
Yeah.
You said you alone could fix America's problems. You said that.
Yeah.
Okay? That's so when you have someone in charge who doesn't this just lays everything bare. This is the time for the government to be stepping up.
Yeah.
And either because he's incompetent, or either because he just doesn't believe in the power of the federal government, he's doing a poor job.
Yeah.
And so that's my point. When we elect folks who don't believe in government, when we elect folks who think that the national government is a hindrance as opposed to an entity that can help, and maybe not in all instances, we can disagree, right? I understand that. But if this isn't it,
yeah.
Then why do we have federal government? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. So, again, it's like I can always turn like my conservative family members pro pot in like a couple minutes, because if you try to look at it as like, oh, it's this hippie drug and we should be, and we want to, because it goes against it's always been illegal and we've always drank on a Friday night. But if you can very quickly flip it and go, this is how I always look at it. I always go, yeah, man, to me, it's just the same as the government saying I can't have guns. Fuck you. Government saying I can't have pot. Fuck you. When you put it in, when you frame it like that, that's when you get them going, yeah, you're right. Fuck you. Don't tell me what I can and can't do.
Right.
So that's what I mean. Like, if you wanted to get rid of the defense industry in the United States, you're not going to go, we don't need this and America's too powerful. You nationalize every defense corporation. Every Republican tomorrow would be like, fuck that, fuck big government, I'm about private industry. And just like that, you'd also have the left for it. So that's what I mean when I said you have to, right now the quickest option to energy independence is to avoid the apocalypse of global warming is right now the best bullet we have that we've mastered, we're on 4th generation nuclear reactors now, is to get to nuclear reactors. So if you take that as like, we have to get there, that is the end game. It does not matter who gets it. Like, if we don't, we die. Whether we get there through one
then you vote Democrat. That's the only way to do it.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So it's but the point I'm getting at is whether it's all run by the government or whether it's these massive handouts to private corporations, I don't give a fuck. I'm just looking at which one do I think would work more. I think those on the left would look at it and go, we need to beat global warming, so we'll take it however we can. And
I actually disagree with you. Actually, there was a significant portion of the Democratic Party who's against nuclear energy, actually.
I know, and they're fucking morons. So
yeah, they are. They're idiots.
Those who truly believe that it is coming and that it's going to be terrible, they are the ones that are going to go, yeah, you know what, I don't care if it's public or private, let's just get it done. The only way you're going to get those entrenched pro-business conservative Republicans like myself, it doesn't matter. Yeah, you have some smart ones. You're going to have the CEOs that aren't stupid. But in order to mobilize that massive base, you're going to have to go, don't look at it as global warming. Don't look at it as, hey, we're not legalizing this hippie drug. Instead, we're saying, hey, the government can't tell me what I can and can't smoke. Oh, yeah, you're right. I support legalized pot. That's the only way you're going to get it done, is instead of going, we got to fight it, instead going, hey, energy independence from the Middle East, energy independence from China, and American jobs. Oh, and by the way, there's zero carbon footprint and we can avoid global. That's how you get to that point, is you've got to get everyone moving. And I personally don't care.
But it's not that easy.
I know, obviously.
You know what I mean? But you can't just go, oh, well, now the government's going to pass and give money for nuclear.
Exactly. Where do you get them? You got to, it's simplified.
The reality is this: national problems require national solutions. What does that mean? That literally means that you need more than one party who understands what's happening. And unfortunately, in 2020, it's just the truth, man. That the Republican Party, and maybe not every voter, right? Obviously, you're an example of it. And many young people, obviously, who are Republicans would be like, of course, climate change is real. But at least the voters and the folks that they send to D.C., right? The folks that they're choosing to elect are nowhere near there. I mean, they're just not, because they don't even think it's a problem.
Or they are
they
there,
don't even,
but they know not to say it because
real, Tommy.
I was going to say, or they do know it's real, but they're going, I got to get office, so I'm going to say whatever I need to say.
Or they're bought off 1,000,000%.
Or they're bought off,
And so that's my point. How do you solve a national problem with half the country?
Yeah.
You don't.
Yeah.
You don't. So until you've got Republican elected officials speaking about this, you're right. They should speak about it in economic terms, but it should be the Republicans doing that to convince their own voters or to convince potential voters that this is the way to go. But when we're nowhere near that, I mean, we're not. Matter of fact, we've gone the opposite way. I don't know if you know this or not, but look it up. In 2008, right before Obama got, it may have been after he got elected, or before, you had the former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich, right, from Georgia. Matter of fact, I'm in his district now. I live in Georgia 6, which is now a Democratic district. Shows you how times have changed. Barely, but it is now a Democratic district. For the first time since Louisa McBath just won this past election, so it's very, very recent. But the former conservative, I mean, Newt Gingrich is a I mean, no one doubts his credentials, right? I mean, he is a Republican.
He's got a white hood somewhere,
He was and look this up, man. You could probably find the ad online. He was in 2008 in an ad with Nancy Pelosi, right? The crazy liberal from San Francisco.
Nervous Nancy.
They were on a couch together in an ad talking about how it was time for America to take on this challenge. This was 12 years ago, man. John McCain was that year the Republican nominee.
Yeah.
He believed in and had a plan for climate change. What has happened since? The Republican Party has done this.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't understand. I don't know why, how. I don't get it. But I mean, this was literally just 12 years ago, man. Instead of us building a consensus, we've gone the other way. Now you hear the word climate change and you think liberal. You think government takeover.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. Why? Like, why is that? Like, why is it that you have to be a liberal to be worried about when your kids, whether they're going to have a suitable home?
Yeah.
Why is that liberal?
Yeah.
Why is it liberal that you don't want millions of species to go extinct? Because whether you believe it, whether you like it or not, there are natural cycles that affect everything, that affect all of us, our food supply. So if some of those little animals go bye-bye, we're fucked.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
that's not partisan, man. Like
Yeah.
that's just science.
Ooh.
Like, and that's another thing. Science has become this political. Like, it's
fucking
crazy,
big. That
dude.
boils my blood. Like as a
why is
biology
that?
major, as someone who dedicated myself to studying this shit. When I see something like people are going, this medication doesn't work and this one does, and I'm like, stop it. Republicans said that, Obama said that gravity is 9.81 meters per second squared. I don't know about you, but that pack of gum, I'm not sure it was. Fake news. I mean, hashtag MAGA. It's
right. I mean, it's
that boils my blood.
There is. I'm going to put it the way Colin Powell put it. There's a dark vein of intolerance for science running through the Republican Party. I don't know why.
That's awesome.
I don't know.
That's awesome.
I don't know how we fix it. And look, and it's not just the Republican Party. There's Democrats who are anti-GMO when there is absolutely no scientific evidence that GMOs have any sort of. There's nothing. There's just no. We have been modifying, right, genetics for hundreds of thousands. Like that's not new, man. Like you know what I mean? But people are so stupid. That's a lot of Democrats on the left believe that.
Yeah.
And so. And you know what? It's not. That's the problem with this country these days, man. It's not just science. Everything is questioned, and there's nothing wrong with questioning things, but there's some things that are just real.
Yes.
Like you cannot question them, right? These things we're obviously discussing right now.
Yeah.
And so
air quality,
it's
food
some
cycles.
Point,
it
is just fucking cuckoo.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no other way to put it, right? I mean, I can remember Sandy Hook. How many people thought that was staged? Jesus. That was fake? Like, are you fucking serious, man?
That
Do you really think that 12 little precious angels for real were actors or were sacrificed, or that these parents who were literally crying their hearts out on TV that this is just fake to instill some sort of agenda to take over? Like, I'll tell you what, if the government's trying to take over this country, they've done a piss poor job because they could have done it by now.
Or if they're convincing enough to pull off 9/11 and Sandy Hook, well then shit, throw in the towel, because if they can pull that off, what the fuck are you and I gonna do, right?
Right? I mean, there is something that I see primarily on the right. I just said obviously there is some elements of this on the left, but on the right, for whatever reason, there's this conspiracy mindset that maybe because people on the right believe in personal freedom and that the government's, that we have to, be vigilant. And I understand all that, right? That's why we have a constitution. But I don't know. And maybe it's my biases that, that make me think this way. I don't know. But I don't know, man. I'm just telling you what I see based on the people that I talk to, what I see on my Facebook, on Twitter, and it doesn't represent everyone, obviously. It's a very small sample of all Americans, but these people end up electing these people who believe this stuff. And so then what do I believe? Like, if you elect this man, if you vote for someone who thinks this way, then aren't you endorsing those views? And so don't you believe that, right?
Yeah.
Like, to an extent, I
don't know. I'll put my. Well, I don't have any money. I'll put my money where my mouth is. I truly believe that energy independence, for both climate change and economic independence, is so important. I will vote this fall for whoever, and for every fall for the rest of my life, whoever is more pro-nuclear power. That is how much I believe, because it doesn't matter if you have strong borders or not when the oceans are fucking coming up and there's no food. It doesn't matter if everyone has government health care. Look, we beat Trump if the fucking oceans are rising. It doesn't matter if we can hug the trees and kumbaya. We beat nuclear if it's fucking raining sulfuric acid. So I will show what I say. I mean, dude, I voted for Obama, and then I voted for Romney, and then I voted for Bernie in the primaries. I didn't vote for Trump because I moved home because my life was falling apart. But I would have. If I voted in 2016, I would have. I have no problem with going back and forth. I don't give a fuck. That is how much I really do believe that nuclear power is I don't know if it's the end, but it's the first step, and it's a major step, and it's something we already have figured out. I mean, dude, when you really need it to count, when you have an aircraft carrier, what does it run on? When you have a nuclear submarine and you can't have it die, what does it run on? When you shoot a probe past Pluto and you can't have it die for 9 years with zero human intervention, what does it run on?
But Tommy, you know why that is.
Well, so what I'm saying is, you show me that Biden is more pro-nuclear than Trump, you have my fucking word, I will vote for him.
I don't know where Biden stands on nuclear.
But that's what I'm saying. Is that's how much I mean what I say.
Included as a tool in the toolbox.
But that's what I'm saying. I just want to make it. I don't know, but I'm just telling you that's how much I am standing by what I say. I don't give a fuck who it is, because no other policy matters if we fuck this fucking joyride up.
But you know why we haven't made progress with that, Tommy? You know why? Because of the entrenched.
Because Obama's from Kenya.
Because Chevron and because Exxon and because Shell, that literally will bankrupt them.
Exactly.
And why would they? So what do? They give donations to Democrats and Republicans. And you know what I mean?
So
and then the Democrats hate nuclear, they say, because of the waste, which is a legitimate point, but we can find ways to figure it out. And Republicans just don't care enough.
Exactly. So to stand behind what I said earlier, if Biden came out and said, "Hey, we're going to do $1 trillion to give, I guess, I don't know what the correct term is, stipends to get private companies to go after grants, or match, or you don't have to pay us until it's profitable." If Biden went for that, Ernie, I'll put up a fucking Biden flag behind me tomorrow. If Trump said it, I would continue to go pro-Trump. If Biden said the Department of Energy is going to do it and it's all going to be public, I'll go for that, even though I think private work.
Let me ask you this,
Ernie, just. So I'm just saying that. So I don't care if it's private or public. Whoever puts it forward, God damn it, I will go behind that. That's how I'm trying to show you how it's not about left or right. That's how much I am.
Now I'm going to challenge you, because now that you're saying that, I'm going to challenge you.
I'll fight you.
Because if this is what you believe, and you're saying that you will vote for the most pro-nuclear candidate, okay? You're saying pro-nuclear, okay?
Pro-nuclear, yeah.
So you're very specific. But we just said, let's not let perfect be the enemy of progress. Perfection be the enemy of progress. So, if that's the case, and you're inclined to vote for a candidate who is more pro-clean energy, let's put it that way. Although you're specifying nuclear, but we just said we can't let perfect be the enemy of progress.
Finish, yeah.
How can you vote for any Republican official? Because they literally, and again, prove me, if I'm wrong, I would love to be wrong.
Sure.
I don't think I've seen a Republican plan to battle climate change since McCain.
Yeah.
It's been 12 years.
Yeah.
How do you reconcile that?
So, because there's a specific reason why I said nuclear, including fission and fusion, as opposed to just clean energy. Because clean energy, sure, it's great. It does not produce the power needed.
Yet. That's the point, Tommy.
Yet.
So if we invest, which we have, I just gave you the example.
You did.
And it may be, but what if we invested $300 billion or $500 billion? Do you see what I mean?
I do.
And let me tell you something.
But
the candidates who will do, no one will probably ever do that, but the party that's going to get the closest to that is not the Republican Party.
Sure.
And I would love to be wrong, but
so
it's not.
What I'm saying is, we're talking about all these things, investing in figure out anew. What I'm saying is, there is this technology that we've had operating reactors since the 50s. So that there's a reason why I specifically said that. I don't give a fuck who does it. That is a tried and a true. When the military needs something that can't break, they use that. When NASA needs something that's not liberal Democrat, that's not Republican conservative, that is every admiral who fucking runs a nuclear sub or an aircraft carrier, Republican or not, whether they voted for Reagan or voted for fucking Carter, they all go for that. So all those things are the ones that don't shut down. Those are the tried and true.
But while it's not getting done, what are we doing? So we're just going to sit and say, oh, well, they're not doing nuclear, so we're just going to oh, well, planet's fucked.
Yeah, I don't think it is. I don't think anything else can work, and I don't think anything else can work in this time. Because you're not going to get, if you say it has to be all renewable, well, it's not going to work. What I'm saying, all new, clean, renewable. What I'm saying is there is.
But you don't know that, Tommy. But Tommy, who would have thought 70 years ago that the internet would exist? I mean, that's a pipe dream, right? Now, we weren't looking for an internet. We weren't looking for that solution, right? I get that. It's very different.
No, we were
right?
that. We DARPA. It was quite literally, we need a fiber optic cable to connect nuclear
All right,
bunkers
well,
after
there you go.
nuclear
See,
warfare.
I'm totally wrong.
I'll
So
shoot
maybe we
on
did
your
look for it.
face.
So that's my point.
Yeah.
Human ingenuity. Who would have thought just 15 years ago that we would have this, that we could literally FaceTime each other? That was literally a movie.
Yeah.
So in the spirit of science and in the spirit of American ingenuity, right? Like you said, we created the internet, right? Why don't we set a project to do that for climate change along with the existing technology? Why can't we do that?
No, you're absolutely right.
And which party is going to take you there? It's not going to be the Republican Party, man. Now that may change in 10 years, in 50, because things change, right? I just gave you plenty of examples, right? Now you got Democrats defending free trade. That was in the 90s. Democrats were against free trade, right? I mean, that's just right. In the 80s too. So all I'm saying is, I'm just challenging you because I love what you're saying. I wish all Republicans said what you're saying.
And I'm acknowledging your, just like earlier when we talked about watching Trump talk about red flag laws and bump stock and me going, oh, it's probably, and then just observing my thought process. Since you brought up that challenge, I'm watching my thought process. How much of this is I disagree with Ernie, and how much of this is, well, he's bad liberal. So you know what? I'll put my ego aside. And you're right. I won't let perfect be the enemy. Whoever puts forward the biggest, best, bigliest renewable energy, including nuclear fission power plant.
Absolutely.
Ernie, you have my fucking word. That's who I'll vote for. I will put my cognitive dissonance aside. I'll take the ego hit. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you're right. I didn't think about that. Why not? Which one's going to get us there? Don't let perfect be the enemy. Hey, Ernie, I'll give you a virtual handshake. You challenge me, and I accept that. No, I accept it.
That's what we do as Americans, right? That's the beauty of this country, that we have innovated. We have made entire new industries. I mean, the internet now is the word, right? I mean, even in scientific research, we have the best medical hospitals on the planet. I mean, right, for the most part. And so, in that spirit, there's nothing we cannot do, right? We've set out to map out the entire human genome, right? Yeah. I mean, that's unbelievable. And so, if we're talking about an existential threat to humanity, then you've got to do everything you can, right? You have to.
Yeah,
there's no other choice.
Yeah.
And look, and I wish I was wrong, man, because again, I go back to the same thing. Sure, let's say you vote for Joe Biden, that's great, and I'll applaud you for it, and that's fantastic. But the reality is, unless Joe Biden brings in a majority in both the House and the Senate, he won't be able to do anything.
Yeah.
So it won't matter. So we go back to the same thing. How do you solve national problems without a national response? You cannot.
Sure.
How do you solve a national problem when there's two national parties and one of them just doesn't even acknowledge the reality of the situation?
True.
And you just can't.
No, Ernie, I will. My ego's taking a big bruise, but whoever's more, because you're right. It's like right now. It doesn't matter whether It's like when everyone's saying like Obama depleted the what is it, PPE?
Supplies. The national stockpile. Yeah.
True. Trump has had 4 years. Trump hasn't been in for 3 months. Trump's been in for 4 years. He hasn't. So you're right, but none of that matters when we're all here quarantined at home. What am I going to say? Ha, Ernie, told you so. Told you we'd be quarantined. Okay, good.
And I'll tell you what. Guns are a perfect example for Democrats, right?
Yeah.
I favor a ban on the so-called assault rifles, which I know people tell you, well, you don't know anything about guns. There's a big difference, whatever. Okay. We've done it before. We can do it again. Crime went down. Now, that being said, crime also went down after the ban expired. Okay. So that's also a fact. But you're right. Look, the majority of gun deaths are actually handguns. And so in order for you to really make a dent for real, you'd have to ban handguns. That's just not, it's unconstitutional.
And not only that, about what was it, 33% of all deaths from handguns, including my sibling, self-inflicted. It's dude. You're right, man. But hey, dude, I will.
But right, the solution is to literally ban handguns, and that's literally unconstitutional.
Yeah, you're gonna go door knocking 500 million guns in the United States. No, bro.
Listen.
Good luck.
Can't do.
Constitutionally, you cannot do it.
You would literally have to amend the Constitution. Mm-hmm. To amend the Constitution, you have to have 2/3 of the House of the Senate and 3/4 of state houses. Do you think that's going to happen in today's America?
Can't even agree on who had more people at their inauguration.
Right. That's what I mean, dude. So nothing's going to change. Same shit with the election. People are saying with this pandemic and it comes back, it's going to be postponed. No, buddy, you don't understand. It's in the Constitution, the presidential. You would have to amend the Constitution. And we don't agree on anything. They're not going to amend the Constitution and change the election. The election's going to happen whether you like it or not. Dude, the question is, will people go vote? Will we get mail-in ballots, which is the smart way to go? But now the president's already saying, no. Those people are corrupt.
Cheating. That's cheating. That's wrong with
So that's the debate we're having. Instead of talking about how we're going to get people to actually vote, we're talking, do we change the election? Oh, it's conspiracy. Oh, the government's coming for you.
We gotta get rid of. We gotta have Supreme Court term limits. We can't do electoral college. It's like, dude, we're getting onto such the fringes that nothing is happening. It's like, it's like we can't argue about whether or not we should go forward with like D-Day, Operation Overlord, because Dwight Eisenhower can't decide what color shoes he wants. It's like, dude, we're not even arguing. Like, this has no like the Nazis are in France. I mean, I don't give a fuck what color your shoes are.
That's the problem, brother, with this pandemic thing.
Yeah.
I mean, the president denies the reality that is that hospitals are short. My sister's a nurse, man. Like, I know, dude.
My mom's a nurse. Yeah, dude.
So you know too.
Yeah.
So when you ignore the reality, and you're right. So instead of actually addressing the problem, which obviously we're doing, but instead of having an aggressive response, right?
Yeah,
the government fully mobilizing. We're fighting at the edges about whether this is true or it's not, because that's who we've become. And you know what? Maybe we fucking deserve it, dude.
Maybe we do, man. Maybe
we fucking deserve it.
Maybe this is the bottleneck. Maybe coronavirus is as natural as like opposable thumbs. Every planet get a pandemic, and it's the final exam. If you can get through it, we thought it was nuclear. We got through exam 1. Exam 1 was the Cuban Missile Crisis. We got through it. Exam 2 is coronavirus, and there'll be a third in like the 2050s, and it'll be an asteroid. Do we have an international space program? Maybe there's 3 exams.
Tommy, it's not even that far-fetched. Think about
this
for a second.
No, it's not. Apophis, 2029, Friday the 13th.
Is incredibly, we're talking about the virus, right?
Yeah, I'll talk about asteroids.
Incredibly contagious.
Yeah.
We know this.
Yeah.
Millions of people are getting it. Thank God to our lucky stars that it's not deadlier. What happens?
Ebola or smallpox, right?
What happens the next time that we get something that's just as contagious that kills 20% of the people it infects? Can you imagine? That's not that far-fetched. It's really not at all. And here we are arguing about whether or not we even have an appropriate response. Here we are arguing whether or not the people who are in the hospitals,
who depleted the PPE or not,
the governor should be bidding against the federal government. What kind of asinine nonsense is that?
Maybe we deserve it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Ernie.
That's what I mean, dude. Maybe we do fucking deserve all this shit. Maybe we deserve all this
shit. Maybe we do. Ernie.
Maybe we as a country just are so broken that we just can't fix it. Or not for a minute. Or maybe, I hope this is the case, we're going through a political
maybe it's growing
realignment,
pains.
Right? And it makes everything seem...
That's what I hope. It seems chaotic.
You know what I mean? Because a lot of those Bernie folks and the Trump folks have a lot in common, right?
They do. That's what they don't realize is how really pretty close they are.
They don't think the system works for them. They think it's left them behind.
Dramatic
they think
change.
No one cares about them, right? And they just have a different approach to how to fix it. But it's a very similar
They're both trying to get to the top of the mountain. They have different paths.
The reality is this. It's very true. And I've seen this, and it's true to an extent. I have people who say on Facebook who will post, well, if you don't care that Donald Trump is president, then that just shows your privilege. And maybe that is true. No, but maybe that is true. Okay. You know what? The system works for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
The system's made me a lot of money. The system lets me drive a BMW to work every day.
Yeah.
So, yeah, for me it works. Now, it's worked because I've also worked my ass off.
Worked your dick off, yeah.
I went to college. I put myself in front of the right people at the right times. But it works pretty well for me. And you're right. It may not work well for others. So, and it obviously works very well for millions and millions of people. Obviously. That's why they're not demanding
That's why there's not. Exactly.
Change, right?
Exactly.
Because even Trump, as a disruptor, he's not really he's just an idiot.
He's an idiot. For the most part, society is the same. For the most part, it's the same.
All that much legislatively.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's a lot of
He passed a tax cut. What's his less regulations? What else has he done that's big?
He's like a siren. It's like it's loud and it's flashing and it's doing a lot, but like as long as it's just a siren, like the siren scares a lot.
The one thing that's scary about Trump is the corruption, the fact that the loyalty. You've got to be loyal or you're out. That is scary in government, but that's a little different. But again, maybe they are right. Maybe the system works well for a few, well, maybe not for a few. I think it works well for a lot of people. But again, man, I just go back to what I was saying earlier, right? You got to take some personal responsibility. Yeah. And, right, the system may not be perfect. Obviously, I don't think it's perfect, but it works pretty darn well. I mean, at least it's worked in my life. It's worked in my parents' life. That's why I have such a strong adherence to capitalism, because it's worked in my life. I mean, I literally have sold financial products, and it's made me a lot of money.
You're living, yeah.
To the point where I can drive a fucking SUV, BMW, and be okay, be pretty damn good, okay?
Playa.
You know what I mean?
Playa.
So I don't know, man.
Let's go out on a positive note. What's the silver lining in all this? Because there's enough death and destruction on every platform. Anyone can do that. It takes a bigger person to. What good will come out of this? Not even politically. What good will? At the very least, we'll all enjoy going back to the gym. Fucking go.
Well, hey, I've been going to the gym, man. I've got a whole gym session here, man. I'll show you here.
I got a Bowflex right there. Yeah.
My parents luckily they had a bench, and their neighbors threw away a bench, so I could use it. I've got a bar. I went and bought some weights so I could work out.
Yeah.
But the silver lining ultimately, I think, is that as bad as things can seem, and I'll use the last 3 years as an example, right? Because as bad as a lot of people thought, oh my God, Trump is president, can you believe it? As I just said, plenty of people, me, plenty of my friends are doing just fine. We're getting promotions, we're getting good jobs, we're getting raises.
Lights are on.
Right.
Clean water.
So, as I said on my Facebook status, ultimately, you determine your destiny.
Yeah.
And so, remember that. Use that, and wake up every day and remember that every day is a new opportunity, as cliche as it sounds, but it's true, right?
It absolutely is.
To make yourself better, to find better opportunities if you're not happy where you are. And shit, if you're not, reach out to someone, right? If you think you're stuck or if you feel a certain way, don't be afraid to ask for help.
Yeah.
Ask the help, because your situation is clearly not getting any better.
Yeah.
Right? Your situation has not improved from you bitching or from you complaining or from you doing the same thing you've done for the last 10 years. Yeah. Right? Whether you're in Lima, Peru, or whether you're in Roswell, Georgia, or up in Maryland, right? Yeah. It doesn't matter. And so ultimately you've got to try and just outwork and out-hustle and outperform
in the room.
Everyone around you. Because if you do that, I promise you will succeed.
Pick up the phone and fucking dial.
Yes.
Pick up the phone.
Get into sales. You don't need a college degree, okay?
Join my cult.
Get a sales job. Pick up the fucking phone and fucking dial. Take some Addy if you'll make it better for you.
Her pussy was like fucking heroin. Really? I like Bush. Well, you see the thing says that the sides actually did cure cancer. Ernesto Azejo. Thank you, brother.
Dude, always good talking to you.
Let's do another one, and
do it.
Hey, I'll stick by my word. Whoever puts more in renewable energy, they have my vote. I'll eat the humble pie.
I'm gonna look up the plans. I may send you something later. Please. I know what Joe. No, please. I know what Joe.
No, please do. I was being serious.
Inclines to do, but I don't know the exact.
They have my vote. I'll represent what I say. Ernie, love you, buddy. Stay safe.
Love you, man.
Let's do another one. All right. Let's do another one. Yeah.
Yeah. Do let me know.
All right. Perfect. Beautiful.
Yeah, for sure, brother.
All right, brother.
All right,
peace.
Man.
Stay safe.
Bye.